Sup, boys?
Hello.
What's up, dude?
Oh, it's time. Hold on, I have to turn on the Discord overlay. Oh, fuck, we're not in the right Discord.
Hurry,
to the
everybody to
stream. Hey, we were in the right, we're in the wrong. We were in the right, now we're in the wrong. Yeah.
Hello.
We just fucking dipped on Snake, dude. Left him there.
No, me and Snake were in here waiting on you guys.
Oh,
And then
shit,
the
he's...
cup popped up and we were like, let's go.
He's fast. I feel
Was I chasing his after image the whole time?
I feel like Snake would be speed based.
Oh. You think so? I think he's long distance.
Same.
Oh, you think he's a zoner? Probably.
He absolutely is.
I know.
Play this man in Smash.
I know I'm a rushdown character. I know what I am.
Oh, same, dude.
I only have one setting, and that is yes. Right now.
Beat ass and take names.
Fucking John is a grappler. 100%.
What?
No, I'm the grappler.
Definitely not a grappler.
You think he's a fucking... Is he the guy who spams Hadokens?
No, he's the guy that parries all your shit. And
Oh,
you're like, this guy's cheating.
he's
Yeah, I would
a
definitely be that
parry
guy.
player. Okay, he's a counterer. All right. Okay, counter this.
If you go low, parry.
Counter this, nerd boy. Pop, 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 pop. Hit it. All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 4 of the Night Council. Wow.
Wow.
This is our podcast that we've been kind of working on. We're still figuring stuff out. In fact, gentlemen, I was wondering if we could have a discussione about
Right here, right now?
an additional segment that we might have at the beginning, which is news in review, right? So what we've been kind of doing on the side is that Russell will get like a bunch of stuff that happened and we'll try to like choose a topic from it. But what if we did a news in review, like gaming news, movie stuff, TV shows, whatever's relevant. And we could do things like watch trailers together, give comments and stuff like that.
Yes.
And then we go into our topics, because I noticed that if we don't have a meaty topic like we did in episode 2, like episode 3 felt a little short and empty, so maybe we could just do that so we have the same so we have like a guaranteed kind of filler thing.
Yeah.
So we don't feel as pressed, because I think it's better if we go a little over than we go under,
Yeah.
At least that's how I'm feeling on it. So that's something that we could do. We could be React Andes for a little bit. That'd be pretty good.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. Oh yeah.
High effort. Let's go.
Fuck yeah. So that's something I was thinking about doing. And I figured the first one we could maybe watch is something I've already seen a billion times, but we could watch it and make it fresh. And that is the Baldur's Gate 3 official full intro cinematic.
I will watch that shit. I will watch that over and over again.
Since it's coming soon. Also, we need to get like a special piece of art made for when we do that. That just shows like the 4 of us at each of the corners, like looking down with like the eyes emoji, like looking at it in the center. I think that'd be fucking awesome.
Or give the like Mystery Science Theater feel, and we're just like,
oh, dude, that's even better. Even better. Yeah, like we're sitting at the front. Like we're in a movie theater. Oh, that's
a little animation of the curtains opening up.
That's the play. Look at Russ over here making the plays right there.
I'm an idea guy. I just don't, implement things.
Oh, also, I've got a bunch of programmers have contacted me about setting up the technology we need to have us talk when we're talking on screen, to have our characters
I'm
talk.
so excited for that.
Yeah, so that should be pretty sick. So we're making improvements. We're working on it.
If that doesn't happen, we just become VTubers.
But we could do that too. Also, I was planning on every time Snake speaks, a random girl in our audience swoons.
Please no.
Talk about snail trails.
Whoa!
Oh.
Oh no! Oh no! Oh my!
I didn't like that.
I did. I didn't like that. Let's see here. I need to add a window capture, actually. Let me go ahead and do that for you.
You said this is coming soon. You mean early access is coming soon? We're still like
Yes, and
a
we
long
will.
time away.
We will discuss everything about it. Believe me, because that's a meaty
Gotcha.
topic. But, yeah, because I want to talk about Baldur's Gate. And this is another reason why we have this segment first, because some of the things that are going to happen, we're going to want to talk about, right? And we don't want to have to like have one person's topic be that. We can just fucking okay. This is a major topic. We're gonna fucking go into it, right? Because I feel like Baldur's Gate is a pretty big boy.
Nick, have you actually played Baldur's Gate?
I have not.
I think you're the only one that has not.
I like what Dark Alliance on the PS2.
That's a good game. Yeah,
That game was surprisingly good, actually.
yeah, that game was.
That's the
sick,
hack and slash,
dude.
right?
Yeah, that
Yeah.
game was
Yeah.
awesome. Like it was a lot better than you thought it was gonna be.
Yeah, I rented it going, this is going to be a piece of shit. Where's my original Baldur's Gate? I can't make it. Oh, it's pretty fun.
Yeah, you're like, oh my god, and then you unlock Drizzt in this special gauntlet, and he's like, oh, and you're like, holy shit, and he's like, your god was down. Your god was down every time
Dude,
he crits, dude.
9-year-old me used to spawn Drizzador and this is like over and over again and try to kill him, and he would just fuck me every time. Ugh. Good times.
He kick your ass, you're like, oh my
He's
fucking
so good, dude.
God.
What are his scimitars? Twinkle and what? I always forget the other one.
Twinkle and Icing Death.
Icing Death, that's right.
Yeah. Alrighty. So let's go ahead and watch this. Actually, how would we watch this?
Just count us down.
Yeah,
Or
sync up.
give us a link, though, at least.
We can watch it through stream, yeah? Oh, no, because when we can't comment.
Yeah. So
Okay, then let me... Okay, sorry, we're still figuring this out. There's got to be a better way to do it. But...
You could probably Discord stream it.
Oh, you know what I got to do? I got to make us a channel in here. I haven't made us a channel in here. Hold on. Let me just... The Night Council. Sorry, chat. We're still a growing podcast. Please be patient with us. All right, and there you go.
Damn it, Sky.
Motherfucker, dude. That son
I
of a
wanted
bitch.
first.
He was on it, dude. He was like,
I was ready, dude.
He was like, oh, it would be a
Open up
shame.
Notepad first, copy, paste, bam.
Copy, paste, pow, baby. Didn't even type it out, bro. Okay.
All right, I'm ready.
3,
Ready.
2, 1, go. First of all, Lorien Studios, the company to trust with this.
Hell yeah.
100%.
I can't think of any other company I would trust with it right now.
I know, right? Illithids, bro, hit me with those mind flayers, crack open a cold one with the boys.
They say that to our skulls.
Well, don't they go in through like your eyes or something crazy?
Yeah.
I don't know. I thought they had tentacles that could just like pierce your skull and drink
Now,
your brain.
I really like the fact that they show that they could walk, but they choose not to.
That is true.
That
It
tells
starts
you
off with
that tells you a lot, like how like kind of like superior they feel. Because he could have walked, but he chose to float. Very nice.
I always get Githyanki and Githzeri confused. What's the difference?
The Githyanki and Githrazai are basically the same
Oh.
race, but they're
Oh.
different, like politically, if I recall.
Oh, okay.
It's been a while since I've done Faerun stuff.
Same.
Oh, dude, I just love all the little things.
like that.
Yeah,
little
like
thing.
that little thing. Have you seen this snake?
No.
Oh,
Oh, really?
oh, then I'm going to be less talky. Also, get
No, you're
ready.
good.
Here's the part you're not gonna like. You're really not gonna like this, Nick. Oh, oh, oh.
Okay.
I love that like subtle psionic effect. It's cool.
Bad touch.
Ooh. It's the little things that make me shit myself.
God, they're so evil.
Yeah, they are. And they're very alien, and it's they just like all the little things they do. Like I see right here, this like that little bit of pity right there. That's awesome. Oh, don't pause, man. That's fine. Move ahead.
Analyzing frame.
That's awesome. Look at that shit.
We in a living spaceship.
Let me know when you see the city.
I see
We're
it.
all synced up. Yeah.
I paused it for a second, so.
Oh, you did?
Oh.
Yeah. My bad. That's fine. I'll
Oh.
catch up to you. You see the guard? He's looking. He's running up the
He's
stairs.
running up the stairs.
Okay,
There he
good.
goes.
All right, we're good. That's a lot of stairs to get to that warning tower, and
Bell, yeah.
and then just kind of like,
This is
Oh,
bad design.
no, dude, I didn't make it.
3
How will-
days till retirement.
It's like, how will they know? I won't be able to warn them.
That's a terrifying effect.
Yeah, it is. It teleports them inside. Yeah. Now all of China knows you're here. Oh, here we go, dude! Fuck yeah, there's the dragons in my dungeons.
Teleports the dragons inside.
Oh yeah.
Hey, why stop at just the one though?
Oh shit. God, high level D&D can be sick, dude.
It's not seen as the dragons getting back up 14 times during the fight. Dude, I love that little string movement. That's so sick. I don't even know what it is.
The big teleport. But you think you're the only one that can do that? Bitch! Oh yeah!
Do their ships have a name again?
What?
Do their ships have a name? I forget.
I can't remember what it's called.
Oh, spelljammers, that's right. Must end every trailer with Dragon Roar.
Absolutely. It's the only way to end it.
This is where the game starts off, right?
Yeah. This is the start.
Fuck.
Oh shit! Oh, it's Baldur's Gate 3.
Oh, I get it.
Yeah, because there's the 3 there.
Oh, why did you
Also-
get that? Holy shit.
You sure that's not the monster sign?
You see, the 3's even looks like those pillars. That's probably going to
Yep.
be a tie-in to the game, because that's
Yeah.
how Baldur's Gate rolls. Okay, so let's talk about Baldur's Gate just real quick.
Is there gonna be 3 bales?
Probably.
Oh shit.
Snake, have you even seen any the gameplay of it?
No.
Oh wow, you.
Have you played Divinity 2?
Yes, I know Larian for their work, so I've been waiting to
Yeah.
get my hands on it.
Yeah, it's that, but just 5e. It's
Yeah,
great.
it's just basically that and 5e put together, and it's man, it's pretty sick. So here's why I'm excited about it. First of all, I get to play D&D. I get to be a player. So there's that. That's
That's
number
enough
one.
right there.
That look, I'm going to be very honest with everyone here. My opinions on Baldur's Gate are going to be very biased because oh sweet lord, I want to play it so bad because I get to be a player. Now, that being said, I will also not be playing it during its early release, during its
Same. I can't do
early
that.
access. And the reason is because when I finally sit down and play this game, I'm going to be taking a break from all of my D&D games. People are going to sit and wait a week while I get to fucking play as a character. And I'm going to play the shit out of this game. And I am currently in a blood pact with Stir that he will also not play the early access until it's fully released. And I think Moon's in that blood pact with us as well. So, we'll see though. He might play it because he has to, but I know he's going to play it with us. I'm pretty sure he will. But in either case, Moon
Is
said
your
he was
first
going
playthrough
to
going to be co-op?
Yeah, definitely.
Oh,
100%.
man.
100%.
I guess, yeah, you can do the same with Divinity. I didn't consider that the entire campaign would be like co-op multiplayer.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Oh, yeah, the whole thing is.
Those are so difficult though, playing as like a RPG like that and not
Like
getting
syncing up everyone's times over and over. Yeah, it's
and someone not getting thrown to jail because they want to steal everything.
Yeah, just the chaos that ensues from players being like D&D players being video game players.
Well,
Yeah,
to be
that's-
completely honest, chat, if Moon wants to play, Moon can do what he like. I just know that Stir and I are in a blood pact because we've played through we played through all of Divinity together, and that's kind of like our thing, and it's whatever. It's what he can do what he likes. But anyway, back to what I was saying. So, couple of things. First reason why I'm not playing in early access because I don't want to be limited on classes or characters or races because they won't have all the classes available at the beginning. So that's another reason why I'm waiting. Why I'm excited. First of all, from what we've seen of the gameplay, it's more D&D than it is Divinity, from what I've seen.
Good.
But it's enough of Divinity to make up for the fact that it's a video game because D&D video games have been notoriously bad with a few exceptions. Like, they've been really bad. So, that's a good stuff.
all the good ones haven't aged well too.
Yeah, all the good ones they've not exactly aged very well.
Bro, 2 weeks ago I played Icewind Dale and Baldur's Gate. I learned Thatco, and
God.
Jesus Christ, man, it was just miserable.
Yeah.
One crit and an instant death, and it was permadeath too. It was just, whew, it's rough.
Yeah. Baldur's Gate 2 was a masterpiece, as I said, with some exceptions. If you want to look, dude, just play Sword Coast Adventures and then tell me if that's a
Oh
good
god.
game.
Dude, I even think Baldur's Gate 2, as masterful as it is, it's still a pretty dated version of a game now. I still enjoy playing it, but I think that's a lot of nostalgia too. I think
Mask
trying to
of
get
the
a new
Betrayer
person,
was probably my favorite. Yeah.
that was the best expansion for sure.
Yeah, Mask
That
of the
was-
Betrayer
that was good.
fucking
That
awesome.
was a really cool story.
Neverwinter, dude. I played
God,
Yeah.
I hated the Spirit Eater mechanic though, having to like constantly.
Yeah, it was kind of dumb, but it's whatever. You can get
Yeah.
over it pretty quick once you just get to the first phase. But
Yeah, that's true.
it had some of the best characters in it, and it had the first time ever that I had a crush on a character in a video game. Ever.
Which one?
It was the fucking Azamar cleric, the Ilmater cleric. Ooh,
Oh, with the wings or whatever.
yeah, the Azamar.
oh,
Yeah,
God, I forget her name.
it's funny that I say that because I can't remember her name either. But
Was it like a bird? That's gonna piss me off now. I gotta look it up.
yeah, they were like birds, if I recall, because they were like bird siblings or some shit.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. She was awesome the way she spoke. And then the guy, the absolute Chad that I wanted to be, was fucking the hag spawn like ranger guy. That dude-
the
yeah.
spirit guy.
yeah, that guy was sick, dude.
Oh, it was named Ganiev was his name.
Yeah,
That guy was pretty sick.
that guy would just talk shit to everybody.
She was
It
such an asshole even in jail when you like recruit
Yeah,
her.
when in the jail, he talks to his warden, which is the old lady. He's like, I can see the dreams that you have about me. Oh, such unclean thoughts. Dude, that guy is basically a male thought. Like, it was so good.
He was.
He was so cool. But anyway,
Himbo.
a himbo, if you will. But anyway, so Baldur's Gate's got me excited because I might get to do not only that, but I'll get to actually like go through a whole D&D adventure where I get to play with people and I don't have to be the DM.
Yep.
Video games, the DM.
Yeah, it means a lot to me. Is Divinity
really hoping
Original
for mod
Sin
tools,
2
though.
a good game? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know, I have played through Acts 1 through 3 of Divinity like 10 times, and by the time I get to the end, God, what's the last town called? Arcs?
Arcs. Yeah, Arcs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I always just get bored right at the end. I can never finish it, but it's such a good game.
Which
I
is
don't get it.
crazy because the Act 4 town has so much side shit. Like, it's crazy. It's like a whole nother game.
It is.
Yeah. Me and Stir accidentally skipped it the first time because we cheesed the the statue.
How?
Well, The statue lets you go through it and gives you holy wings if you've never done anything wrong. So what Stur did is he recruited a mercenary that has done literally nothing, and then had him take the test, and he turned into the holy boy.
That's such an exploit.
Yeah, and we just walked through that statue and ignored the entirety of Act 4.
How were you high enough level for the end then?
We weren't.
Oh.
But that made it that much more exciting because we were also a because what we did was we hired him, we got through, and then we like deleted him from the party, and then continued with our Lone Wolf run, and then we just kicked the shit out of everything because Lone Wolf was crazy.
Oh, Lone Wolf was kind of OP actually.
Yeah, so it didn't matter that we were underleveled because we were overpowered. But anyway, Baldur's Gate, I'm excited because I'll get to go through an adventure with I'll get to play, man, and like I can't express enough how excited that makes me because I get to like play and I get to play with people and I get to build and I get to pretend like I'm an adventurer and I want to do like a fully role-played experience. I want to do the whole thing. All of it. Clap my ass.
My one regret is that I will
got
not
it.
be able to watch it because I'll be playing it too.
Yeah, I get you. I will
Dude,
stream it though.
The thing I'm most excited, of course, the thing I'm most excited for is the possibility of making fucking Verum in Baldur's Gate 3.
There is
Yeah,
a very high
I am-
chance of that happening.
So hoping they give us a full editor. Oh God, I can't even.
I hope so too, man. Give me a
It'd be
full
so
editor.
good. You get to make your own character, and then you get
I
to
would
pick
literally
all
drop
the other
streaming and
characters
just
from
make that my job.
streams.
That would just be it, dude.
And just making Verum and fucking so I get to play in my own game world. Wow.
Dude, this is so like lame, but like I would be so ecstatic to have an entire game where you get to play in your own world, just looking around like a wide-eyed child. Like I made this. Like
Dude,
I would look forward to that so
dude,
much.
oh man, dude, my mods did that for me. They made well they tried to at least. We had a lot of problems, but they took the map of Calcatesh and then they painted it with biomes and then they made it in Minecraft for me.
Oh yeah, I remember you telling us about that.
Oh, that's
That's awesome.
Yep, and the only problem is that we had a lot of connectivity issues, and unfortunately, I wasn't as big then, so there wasn't a lot of people playing it, and then I couldn't really afford the cost anymore. I might consider doing that again because I have like 20,000 people in the Discord. I'm sure at least some of them play Minecraft. So,
Dude, I
You
bet
do it
if
like
you
Moon
gave
Moon did, and have a role play server
yeah.
where they have their own little village and they have like assigned roles and stuff, and everyone like there's a hierarchy of players and stuff. It was so silly.
Yeah, maybe I'd have to have somebody be in charge of it though, because I don't have time to run a Minecraft server.
I think you have so many people that are into Verum now. You could literally just go to a group of people and say, "Hey, make Verum in Minecraft," and then just leave them to work for like a
Wave
month,
your
and you would just
hand.
have the whole thing.
Yeah.
That'd be sick.
Get Wara to do that, maybe. Maybe Wara can put in charge of finding the people to do that. That's a good idea. I didn't think about that, but there's a lot of people we have now. That could be really fun.
Oh, and that's a cool idea in chat. Like, it could be like an actual living world, like representation of what's going on, but like not just text. Oh, that'd be so sick.
Yeah, that
And
would.
it's all Java, so you could totally have like a UI to have like
Yeah.
RPG stats.
You know
Oh,
what you
that'd be
could
so
do.
cool.
You know what you could do. I mean,
But it's Minecraft.
the thing that I really want is to restart it and then have like a whole team of people just try to build the world of Verum in it, like make the capital cities and the smaller cities and the rivers and because all the geography will be finished. But I'd like to have the actual
like that's-
towns built.
That's like super ambitious, but I totally feel like you could just make like a height map and stuff, and then it would just like generate itself through programming. if
And then
really
you could
wanted to.
detail it on top of it.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Or hell, you know what I could do? I could just be like, all right, here's the geography. Go crazy and just let them build and do whatever they want.
Yeah.
Just do that. Just
That's what I do.
I might say like, hey, try to keep it in canon, I guess, so that we're not having weird shit. But yeah, I have to talk about it. Kaylin, that was her name. Kaylin the Dove.
Caitlin the Dove. That's right. Yeah.
That's it. Anyway, I'm clapping my own ass. Baldur's Gate 3 is going to be the sickest of nasties.
It's
Oh,
gonna be
man.
the tits.
The literal best. I cannot wait. Okay. Very nice. Okay, good. I don't really have like a news and review ready, but that's something we can do for next time. We can have that set up.
You
Yeah,
want to
that's fair.
talk about what we've been doing this week?
Yeah, we could do that. What have you been up to? Let's go with Scott. What have you been up to?
Suffering. Pretty much about it. I've been sick. I'm on antibiotics. It's been a rough week. Yay!
Oh man, I'm sorry to hear that.
It's all good. Let's go to a non-depressing person.
What about you, Russ?
Recently I just opened up a Ultima Online shard is what I've been up to because Ultima
shit.
Online's gonna release a server, like a fresh start server, and so I'm like tinkering with that, seeing how that is. I got a few people that are interested on Discord, and we've been just like having a good old time.
I have never played Ultima Online.
Me either. That's why I was interested, and I was like, oh shit, like a fresh start, like heyday of MMOs, and it's got
Peeve Russ?
I know
Dark
of
Souls guy?
Peeve.
Yeah, dude, he was so into Ultima, and like, I actually watched a bunch of his streams, and it seems very like free form what you can do. It's like really obviously dated and old, but you can like it's an example of like that MMO where like the player choices like permanently affect the world and stuff like that, like permanently stealing people's shits and stuff. It's pretty interesting.
I think it's hilarious that you can actually like in an MMO go up to somebody and like
Just take
snoop
their
in their
shit.
bag and then like
Yeah.
find one item you want, steal it, and then just bolt out of town. And if you don't die, you successfully stole it.
I wish more games took risks like that.
Yeah.
It's just so easy to troll.
Oh, absolutely. I think that's the main reason why I'm like looking forward to Ultima, because me and my griefer team are just gonna go in and just be little shits. It's gonna be great.
All right.
Jesus. What about
Just
you?
drop.
Oh, wait, anything else, Russ? Go ahead.
Oh, it's just one of those freeform MMOs where you can like get a book from a vendor and then write in it. So I can like write all my cool fan fictions, just drop them around town, and people pick them up and be like, "What's this?"
My fan fictions, dude. That would be hilarious. Oh my god.
Exactly.
And then they held and kissed. Like, oh, this is really hot. Who made this?
Why is it about Sonic and Knuckles?
Okay. And what about you, Snake?
I've been dealing with the same internet issues I've been dealing with for a bit now.
Nah, geez.
Still not fixed?
No, not
What-
really.
What have they been saying?
Looks fine on their end, they say. And every time, like, they'll run tests, and the last guy made a point to, like, hey, here, look at the readings. It looks fine. And I'm like, yeah, but it's not. And I keep asking them to change the line going from the pole to the box, and they're like, well, it shouldn't be the line. And I'm like, well, it's the last thing we haven't tried, so why not? They haven't done it yet.
About the standard experience with internet providers.
Yeah.
Jesus.
That sucks, man.
This is the problem with internet monopolies.
Yeah. God.
Oh man. Well, I'm sorry to hear that, Snake. Oh no.
Man. This is awful.
I
What have you
ha-
been doing this week, Arcadum?
I have good news, but I'm afraid to say it now because it's like,
No, you must be suffering.
oh jeez.
No, pep us up, dude. What happened?
Besides the fact that you got free G Fuel.
Oh my god.
Pog?
That's actually
You
kinda,
getting your own flavor, bro?
that's actually kind of creepy.
Is it like Violet Grape?
Oh, dude, Verum Grape. That's so good.
Oh my
No, that's bad.
No, that's bad. Stop that. No. So what happened with me is, first of all, the Shroud game's being worked on. That's all great and well and gravy.
Nice.
But I had my meeting with Devin, and we're going to be launching a merch drop soon. So
Ah, damn.
the first one I've ever done. So here's hoping that it goes well.
May I buy a Wadu Heck plushie?
See, that's what like we're doing a simple one first because we want to make sure that.
Damn.
You know, I'm trying
To
my
gauge
best.
interest.
We're gonna gauge interest because everybody's like, "Oh, give me that," but we're gonna see who actually does it, and then we'll see. But then based off that, we might do stuff. What the heck plushie, definitely something we want to do. Lots of stuff to think about. I also want to do Night Council stuff as well, which I think would be very sick, nasty, as it were.
Absolutely.
But yeah, other than that, I got my sister's wedding is next weekend. So that's
Congrats.
nice. And
Aw.
I will be unable to do the night council at that time.
It's all good.
Fair and valid.
I guess I understand.
I guess I understand your sister. Fine.
Family.
So there's that. I mean, if you guys want to do an episode, I'm totally fine with that. We've got the assets. You guys can do it. Not a big deal. But I won't be there.
Yeah, no. I think it's more important that
All
you
right.
go to your sister's wedding for sure.
Alrighty. Yeah. So I think that's pretty much it for me. Oh, one more thing. The Patreon's been updated for the Night Council. So,
Ooh.
so if any of you guys want to support what we're doing, please feel free to check out the handy dandy link that'll be spammed at you soon enough. And
Olad is coming.
if you want to support the Night Council and everything that we're doing, then please feel free to go there at this time and sign up for the Night Watchman tier, because you will be given a role in my Discord that will allow you to access a channel that you can type out questions, which we will answer at the end of today's segment, end of today's podcast. So,
Ooh, nice.
yeah, we actually already have a bunch of people, I think, that have typed there, which is pretty good. Very nice. Super cool, as it were. All right.
I'm into it.
Yeah. Boop, 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 boop. Okay. All right. Successful plug. Handshake. High fives. Alrighty. Well,
Hands are slapping.
let's move on to the next bit. And I guess we'll do tippity tip top topics. Let's do some topics.
Ooh, do it. Snake's up, right?
Snake is up. It is Snake's turn to start us off. What you got, big guy?
It's a direct response of my internet issues, but it's and not even just mine, just sort of the state of the world and where, or I guess more the state of the U.S. I guess would be more accurate, just because that's really the only baseline I have at the moment. But internet, like the internet as a human right, that's been a topic that has been floating around for years now, probably at least a decade, and we've seen a bunch of studies crop up more recently over the past like 5 years, and even more recently than that, the past like 6 months, due to the whole COVID thing. People are arguing that it should be a human right, specifically because of its necessity in like at home learning as opposed to going to schools now and all that. So my question is, what's your stance on the internet as a human right, and more importantly, do you think it could even work?
I don't know if it could even work, since we can't even give water to a bunch of people so far.
Let me come at you with some personal experience, and I know what people anecdotal, but give me a second. All right, I'm gonna lead to a big fatty point. All right, I grew up without running water, or rather, I should say, clean running water. All right, the well water that I used was not from the city; it was from a tainted well, because I lived in a junkyard. So I had to take showers and baths in kind of like rancid water, and I was never clean because of it, and we couldn't drink it because it was unhealthy. So we had to go to the store and get water for us to cook and drink. All right, so
You couldn't even like boil it to use it?
couldn't boil it.
It was just that tainted
It was
with
that,
chemicals
it was
and
that
whatnot.
tainted, yeah. So
Damn.
that's number one. So one could supposit that if somebody says that internet is not a human right, could you live without it? Yes. Yes, you could.
Absolutely.
You could live without it. But it will make your life so infinitely better having access to it that it becomes incomparable, and I have an example as to why. Do you need running water to live? No.
Yes.
No, you don't.
What?
No, you don't,
Oh.
because the Amish live just fine without plumbing. But
Oh,
a
I see what you
well
mean.
of water and digging a well and having water in that method makes their lives significantly harder. So, because running water is a basic human right, the internet should be as well, because it represents a basic human right, which is information, not entertainment. Information is the basic human right. I think that should be pushed forward, because the right to know about things is imperative to existence in our culture and existence as a human animal.
That's the crux of the all the studies that have been done. Like, it is imperative to a functioning democracy, whatever that looks like.
Yeah, I think that's a lot of the reason why some of the people in this country are the way that they are, is because they just simply don't have access to information and only get it from like one spot, and then that's just the opinion they form and grow up with, and it shapes in their mind, and then that's just, then they're supporting people they shouldn't be, and it's just a lack of easily accessible information, I think.
Yeah.
I don't think internet is, a necessity like water or food or anything. I think absolutely people can live without it, but yeah, your life is just it's a necessity of its own, in a way, in this current age at least. It seems like you can't like even get job interviews or anything without like an email address or something like that, or even a phone for them to call you.
Yeah,
I guess. Go ahead.
To further more on that, to anybody that thinks that internet is not a basic human right, well, do you think education is?
How do we define human right? Let's
Well, see,
boil it down to that first.
human right in this case, I think, should be clarified as a legal right to have access.
Yes, that.
Which,
not-
yeah. A human right gets us into, like, philosophy and shit like that, and that's not what we're talking about.
Okay.
We're talking about the legal rights that you have as an American citizen, because
Okay.
we're all Americans. I can't talk about what it's like being in France, so I'll only speak to what I know, which is being an American citizen. So, since all four of us are Americans, as American citizens, we are given certain rights that are legally protected. And
Of the great country of Texas.
well, anyway, the point is that if education is considered, a legal right that we get free
To a point.
Well, to a point, free public education up to a certain point, then why isn't the internet considered to be a part of that? It's the same basic principle, except whereas school gives you access to different fields, I would argue, now here's where things are going to get a little spicy, so I hope everybody stays with me. I believe that the internet is an evolution of the educational system, because there will be a future in which we will not need schools anymore in the way that we define them as they are now, because we will have the internet and the vast wealth of human knowledge being applied to us directly. Because here's something that I'd like to supposit to everyone here, right? Just think about this and just come with me for a second, right?
All right, where are we going?
All right? When you go to school, you learn some subjects that you like, and there are some subjects that you don't. And most of the time, that doesn't change. Now, you do have the chance of being exposed to something that you didn't know that you liked, and then you'll end up liking it. But I would say that the internet can do that a million times more effectively and more widespread than a face-to-face school ever would, really. Now, that being said, when you use the internet, you use it for entertainment, but you also use it to learn things, and there are plenty of interests, whether it be learning how to play a game, learning how to fucking do better math, or learn how to read better and stuff like that. And now, I'm not saying that people are going to go like play some educational game on their own thing. No, that's not what I'm saying, although there are people that do that. What I'm saying is, through your natural concourse of consumption, you will pick up skills that are based around the things that you want to do. Like, for example, if you want to be a programmer in our modern day world and want to make your own video games, you're going to learn how to do it if you want to do it bad enough. Because you can.
Yes.
You can just fucking do that. You don't need a school education to tell you that you can do it, because you can literally just do it. You can go on the internet, you can find the information, you can talk to the people on forums, you can make friends, talk to them, and then before you know it, you've given yourself a full breadth of education, and it didn't cost you anything in most cases. So I think anything extra, yeah. I think the most basic thing that you get out of traditional schooling that you won't really get in the internet is the human interaction. That's more important to me than what you actually learn there, because that's what sticks with you, in my opinion, is you learn what kind of person you are when you go to school and you grow up, and when you go to college, you learn how to decide the person that you are. And I don't mean like whether or not you know math, but are you brave? Are you petty? Are you kind? Those types of things. That's how you learn who you are. And you can't learn that without practice. And this is a mark against the internet. The internet gives you a place where you can pretend and have like a really bad viewpoint of that social interaction. It's not sufficient to provide you with that education. So that's what I think the most value that school really gives you, because how many people here that are adults that are like, let's say 25, right? Like who here's like 25 plus that can honestly tell me like the lessons that they learned like through the basic subjects when they were fucking, in high school that they actually still remember? Like, how many of you took Spanish and remember any Spanish that you could pass a test in? How many of you could take the old tests that you once took and could still pass them? Can you name every capital of all the states? Of course you fucking can't. Most of you can't. Because the whole point is that crash course of education gives you like a smattering of education that you're going to need in order to survive, because it's a wide blanket, right? And then you specialize in college, or at least you're supposed to, but college bankrupts you, so you can't. So the entire aspect that I'm getting at here, just to keep us on track, is that basic human rights information should be included in that, because it already is. Basic information is already a human right because it's through education. And I would argue that that the internet is a tool of education.
All right, let me offer a counterpoint, because as spoken as someone, I went to college for 3 years and I stopped going to college because as soon as I stopped going, I taught myself the things I wanted to learn, specifically 10 times faster and for free. So the things like for the profession that I wanted, which was, like programming and design and stuff like that, it was much more effective to just teach myself that. And I will stand by that. Going through a class and like learning C++ for, 6 months, the rate at which you learn stuff is so much slower than, because if you're interested in it, you're going to research it nonstop until you're good at it.
Exactly.
That's just how it works.
Absolutely.
And school puts so much, like the first 2 years of college is just bullshit. You don't learn anything that you want to do. You're basically just doing more high school. It's awful.
Basic training for college.
That's why college I think is becoming kind of outdated, but that's only for a lot of things. There are some things I think that are irreplaceable, even like with college. I think like to become a doctor, you have to physically go there. And you have to like, go like in the class to a dummy and like do stuff on the dummy. I think like there's a lot of things like that in engineering that you can't just learn online. You need to physically do it and you need tools to do it, and schools have those. So I think it's not a universal thing that you can just teach yourself everything. There are definitely topics that you have to actually have a physical presence for.
But wouldn't that also indicate, therefore, that the entire point is to get to that specialized knowledge? So one could make the argument that, like, first of all, I agree with you. I want to be clear. I agree with you that there are some things that the internet can't provide, like physical tool use. You need to, if you want to be a mechanic, for example, you have to actually use the tools and work on the car. That is true. Definitely, 100%. But there are also, like, your general education and things like that. Like, maybe I could spin it in this way. Because our society is so much more geared towards computing and the internet use, period, the assertion that the internet should not become a part of education and therefore a human right almost seems impossible to come to that conclusion anyway. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
Because the internet is so integrated into everything that we do that if you're trying to teach children a widespread birth of knowledge, then the internet should be one of those things that you teach. A little bit of programming, a little bit of how to set up your Wi-Fi. I mean, they have home ec, don't they, to teach you how to cook. Why is that not a part of it? If cooking is going to be considered a human right in that information, then the internet usage should be, and therefore internet should be a human right. I mean, there's
we're gonna have internet licenses.
Well, you already have them, like programming and shit, or being an IT person. You need credentials.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Certificates, yeah, totally.
I guess my whole point is this: it's like, I never went to college. Well, I went to the community college of the Air Force, which is not really a college, but the point is I didn't go to the college. My route was the military. That's how I got my my young adult education. I went to the military and I was taught life lessons and I was taught basic skills. I was taught things that I honestly think that without I would not be the person I am. Like, everybody compliments me on my work ethic, right? Like, that's something that a lot of people will compliment me on. I didn't have that until I went to the military. The military taught me the value of hard work. Like, these basic human values and stuff, I think that you have to get from experience, which is what a real life school will give you. It will teach you those things about yourself because they produce the situations that determine that, right? And yes, it's awful. A lot of people lose out in high school. A lot of people are miserable. But I think that misery is required because you need to learn that's how humans act. They don't act like they do on the internet. When you're sitting in a room with somebody and they're bigger than you, are you going to talk shit? Most people don't. But the people that do know what kind of person they are. You see what I mean? Like, it's kind of that kind of thing. Go ahead.
I agree that in-person interaction is crucial to development of those skills. I do not agree with misery being required in any circumstance.
Well,
I do understand what you mean, but I want to be clear in that things being miserable in anybody's school experience, that doesn't have to be the case with them.
I misphrased that. I didn't mean it in that it should be accepted that you're going to do that and therefore that it has to happen. But I think that it's important for you to learn that it's unavoidable because being alive is suffering. Like, look, and I don't want to be dark and nihilistic about this, but we are all essentially slowly dying. That's what we're doing. We get less and less healthy the further that we go along, and then eventually we die because our bodies are no longer functional. Like, that doesn't change, right? And there's unfairness in the world, things that happen, whether or not you get mistreated because of who you are or what you did or what your family did, or you're unhealthy because, you broke your leg, or maybe you had a, genetics problem, whatever. It doesn't matter. But being in a real world situation gives you the strength to overcome that kind of stuff, because without it, then you're untested. And, like, my experience will be completely different from Scott's and Russ's and Snake's, completely different. But I know that if I didn't go through those things, then I wouldn't have been tested, and I would not have found out who I am, and therefore I would not be able to act with integrity. So, what I want to be clear, I'm not saying that everybody has to be miserable in high school. I'm not saying that. But you will be sad. It will happen. And you need to be able to experience that in what I would consider a safe environment, which I'm not saying school completely is, and it should be a safer environment, but that needs to be, basically, you need to be able to fail in a safe way to learn why you failed in order to not do so again. You guys get what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
that's what I'm talking about.
That. Yeah.
That's why the internet is a human right.
Well, that was just more to the value of main schools. But anyway, back to the point. Yeah, we did kind of get off on a tangent there. Basic human right of the internet, absolutely. And I think anybody that argues against it is basically arguing against the march of time. Sorry. Because in my opinion,
the people that burn books.
In my opinion, dude, you can't say that internet is not a basic human right and yet still think that running water is. That plumbing is. Based off the example I gave before.
I could almost say the internet as a human right, or just a right in general, I'd say it's almost, it's already beginning to happen. I feel like anybody with a library card has access to the internet this day and age. They have computer labs. Most of them do.
Yeah.
At least in my areas, you can go there and just
the
use
written
the internet.
word is becoming something else.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's the new medium.
You have to, that is, man, the times, they are a changing, and you have to be ready for it. And they just are.
Yeah, one interesting thing about this though, times are, there's a Facebook did a thing in India where they started this initiative to provide, I forget the exact city, but they created this initiative to provide free internet or free access to Facebook curated websites in India, and it was initially lauded as a hey, free internet for this entire area, but it very quickly turned into them trying to push ads and collect user data.
Oh, we know how you feel about ads.
Well, yeah.
I hate ads too, though. Let's be real.
But
yeah, that's
I don't think
kinda
any of
dirty.
us actually disagree that internet isn't a human right? Or okay,
No.
we got to stop saying human right. Legal right as a citizen.
No, I think we all agree that
Yeah.
humans deserve that. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm trying to think of an argument that somebody would make as to why it shouldn't be, but the only way that argument is made, it comes from a position of that you would want to prevent people from having it, and from a position that's like antagonistic, like greed or control. You know what I mean? Like, where's the positive reason for that?
The only argument that I have stumbled across in my research for this was capitalism, like full stop.
Yeah, it's just not worth it. Like monetarily, is that just the answer? It's just not worth it.
Well, not even that. It would have to be controlled via state, and like state as in like a nation's government, and that in turn would take hands out of the private sector, the companies who control it already. That would eliminate choice for some people, and it would deaden the market for it, which in turn would make people lose money, and money is what capitalism is.
I don't know, man. At the same time, utility companies are expected to keep like a certain level of service available, right? And I don't think, like, who's going to make the argument that the internet is not a utility? Like, get the hell out of here if you make that argument. I'm sorry, you have no room to stand on that. Because if you're going to tell me the internet is not a utility, well, then neither is electricity by your fucking definition.
Yeah, I mean, you pay for water, electricity,
yeah, like,
and it's the same thing.
Like, it's what's probably going to end up happening, in my opinion, as a hot take as it might be, is that eventually, the old guard will give up this fight, or they'll, become too old to fight anymore. And then the people that are like our generation or a little older than us will replace them. And then they obviously, hopefully, will make that change. That's the only thing we can really hope for, I think, right now, because it's like that kind of stuff has to happen. And thankfully, I think time is on our side in this case, that it's going to happen. Like, it's going to be made a human right, or a whatever you want to call it for this definition. And I'm pretty hopeful about that.
I think we are in that period of time where it's at the switching point. We're just in the transition.
Yeah, we're in the transition phase. Yeah.
I think the whole COVID situation will be a very large push in that direction.
Yeah, because people wake the fuck up and realize, man, if I didn't have this, whoo, lad.
Dude, I've seen so many articles of like companies realizing that they don't even really need to have like people come into the office anymore. Yeah,
there's where your money, there's your capitalist push. Wait, we don't actually need people. We survived. What? Yeah, exactly.
People can work from home?
Which is a bad thing to a certain degree, but also a good thing, I think, in a certain degree as well. But what was your topic, Snake? Any last words?
I did want to delve into how you think it could actually work.
Oh, like what the process of it is?
Like where would the funding come from, or like what?
That's part of it, sure. But like how we could get there,
Probably
either short term or long.
Well, we have a postal service, yeah. So
sure.
I think what should end up happening is kind of like how our phone service works a little bit. How everybody's already wired together. It's just you have to basically be given access to it. So to me, that's a pretty simple kind of transition. Or better yet, like the TV, like the television stations, how they kind of work. Because that is actually, why didn't I use that example? Television is considered illegal, right? And I don't mean like, see, when I say legal right, chat room, I don't mean that, you like they have to go out of the way. They have to make sure that it's available to you. Yeah, because we have free television and airways for news. This has already happened. Like, look that shit up. Yeah.
If you don't got cable, you're probably watching Jerry Springer. I know it.
Yeah, but my whole thing is that basic television, in order for you to receive the news, is already something that is required to be provided to you. So that's literally not how it works. What? Turn on your TV, you get free TV. It's not that fucking hard to understand the concept.
There are basic channels that you get.
Yeah, like what?
And they all have their own court show. I don't understand it.
And anyway, look, I remember, I'm not making the argument of whether or not that television is useful. That's not it. The fact is that when TV started to explode outwards, they made the decision that, okay, people get access to free television because, they needed to make the news. In fact, There's a TV show called The Newsroom that actually goes into this in pretty good detail. Like, just watch that. All right, and it's also a great show. Winky face. Anyway, the point is that since we already have television that's required for people to be made available to people, internet should be the same thing. Now, if the argument is whether or not it should be free, well, I don't know about that because electricity, water, those aren't free. Now, television, I think, is like basic TV. So maybe they could do it that way. See, I don't really know a lot about the technical side of it. I don't know how they would easily be able to make that happen. But to me, it's like, I think they could, especially through the phone companies, you know?
I think a lot of the issue of where it's lacking is in like the rural areas.
Yeah.
Because I think in cities, even if you don't have that much money, it's still kind of easy to get just something. But the people that are just in, living in the middle of nowhere, it's really hard to get infrastructure there to give them internet.
See, I don't know if I would say that it's hard. It's just they do basically a risk assessment, and they decide that it wouldn't be worth the money.
Well, think about what you have to do for that. If there's like, one guy living per square mile, you're going to build like a tower and go underground with the wires for every single house. Yeah, of course that's not worth it. I guess they could try doing it like satellite based just for really basic shitty internet. That's probably the best chance. I'm not sure.
Hell, man, look, I'm going to be straight up with you. If they have a phone, they have internet. Like, that's just the way that it is. And it just needs to be, like, give a basic service. It can be a slower speed, sure, as long as it's functional. And everybody should get access to it. People will still pay for it because they want the faster speed. It's really not that hard. If you have a phone, most people have iPhones. Most people have phones capable of playing games on them. If they have a phone at all, so they'll have it. Now, there are going to be some people left behind. Yeah, so then you make special, approaches to handle that specific problem. Maybe make a basic phone that everybody gets.
Ooh.
Hang on. Are you saying that when you say everybody has phones, are you saying that everybody has a cell phone, or rather, if you have a phone, you have internet? Or are you saying that if you have a cell
I guess it'd be
phone-
more like just a smart tablet.
Well,
I
first
guess.
of all, if you have an iPhone or some shit, you have internet, like, period.
Just go to your
You have access to it.
McDonald's. You can piggyback off their Wi-Fi.
Well,
Bam, free internet.
Basically, if you have a device that can access the Wi-Fi, then there should be a way, in order to give, you could call it government mandated free internet that could be provided to all of that, or some way, or even through that. But if you have a phone line, you have internet.
Yeah, that's the clarification I was looking for. Like, are you talking about a landline? Because DSL goes through that.
Yeah, like both of those. I think they both should matter.
I don't think, like, it's not true that everybody, like, you have access to the internet with some sort of mobile phone, but you don't always have the signal.
Right, which would be
And
an
that-
infrastructure solution.
Yeah.
Yeah, and which is the government could provide for if they took
Yeah.
the taxes for it. And if we just reallocated some of our taxes to it, we could. But I'm not going to get into that because I don't want to talk about, like, defense budget and shit, because we'll be here for 7 years. So my whole thing is this, though. I think 100%, not only is internet a legal right and a legal and should be a required legal utility to have access to, but it's not only should it be, it will be. I have no doubt in my mind that we're going to get there. Definitely.
Maybe a while though.
It might be like 10 years, but it'll happen. And 10 years is me being pessimistic, I think. Good fucking topic, Snake. Man, look at it. Look at where we went. We went over the education system. We were all over the place on that one. That was good.
Yeah.
That was a big boy topic.
That was a nice topic. Fucking round of applause for Snake and chat. Look at that fucking guy.
One clap.
Necessary.
All right. Unnecessary. Go ahead, Scott. What you got for us?
All right, this is a video I talked about actually a bunch on my YouTube about DBD and all that good stuff, but it applies to a lot of things, and it's actually a very simple topic. Who do you balance games for? Multiplayer games.
What do you mean,
That's
who
it.
do you balance games for?
Who do you balance it for? The top players, the above average players, the regular players, the casual players? Who?
So are you
Do you
saying
want-
like,
Oh, go ahead.
so is this a like initial thing or like long-term sticking with the game and providing constant up?
We can talk about both because both have, I think, positives and negatives, and I want to see what you guys eventually like. Overall, what ends up being the best choice?
Oh God! All right, I will
This
ask.
is a hard topic.
I will ask another clarification for you.
Sure.
Who is being asked this question? The people making the game or the company whose money's behind it? Which is not always the same.
I'm just asking you guys.
Me? All right. Here's my hot take. Here it comes. Okay.
How do we include Nier?
Damn it. You know, it doesn't count if you mention it. No one else can mention it. I have to mention it completely unbaited. All right. But anyway, so here's what I think about it. I think that if you have any realistic expectation of your game to be successful, and when I say successful, I mean to survive and be relevant, not necessarily to make money in this case, I would say that you would balance based off your above average players and top players, because those are the people playing the game who are going to play it enough to be affected by the time investment. Those are the people that, if a balance is off, their time investment will have a higher loss inversion rate than the people that are casually sometimes playing the game. Because the people that are...
I can immediately think of a couple of counter arguments though, like Dota.
Let me finish Let me finish. I got a whole thing here, and for those people that are casual players, who you might think, well, if the game is properly balanced, then they'll want to keep playing. Well, first of all, nothing's properly balanced because there will always be a disagreement on what a balance is. It just always will happen. People still fucking disagree about chess, for God's sakes. So my whole thing is this: it's like, since you can never reach a realistic point of acceptance, then you have to gamble. And if you're going to gamble, then you gamble on the people that put the time in, because those are the people that are going to more statistically likely put more time in. There. Counter argument time. Punch me in the mouth.
Okay. Well, yeah. So I was going to say, I was going to bring up something like Dota, which is an example of a game that is still very popular. I'm not sure. I don't pay attention to League as much, but I'm sure League is the same thing. They balance around the, like the top 1%, like the actual, they look at the professional, championship matches and balance the game based off that. And those games are still wildly popular. So why is that?
That supported my point.
No, I'm just saying, like, how was that actually a thing, though? Reiterate your point then, because I'm...
My reiteration is that maybe I misheard you, but that if you're going to try and make your balance changes, you make it based off the people that put more time into the game, which statistically are going to be your more skilled players, and then eventually even your pros. I'm not saying focus only on pros, because that's too small of a percentage of your people. Like, if we were talking about League, you'd probably base it off of your gold players and above. Although I don't have those hard statistics in front of me because I'd have to see the numbers, but that would be what it is. You would have to base it off of people that put in enough time to do well in the game, because they're the people that are going to be affected most by their time investment. You guys get what I mean by that?
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
of course. Like, that's why I tend to fall along the lines of it should be balanced not exactly around the professionals, because, the vast majority of people will never achieve anything close to that level, so they won't have the same experience. But it should be balanced around people that do put a non-insignificant amount of time into the game. So not quite casuals, but not quite pros, but definitely people that I would say are at like an above average level. I think that's the correct choice, if there is a correct choice.
Yeah, if there is one, I think that's what it is. And, like, I'll give you an example, man. Like, I use League because it's probably the most played game here and more people can understand it. I've played League of Legends since alpha, right? Off and on. There are definitely people with more time in the game than me, but there are several people that don't have as much time in the game as me. I would consider myself right in the middle due to the amount of time that I've played, but I would consider myself above average due to the length of time that I have played, if that makes any sense.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I've been through enough seasonal changes. I've seen champions change from their original kits to what the game has evolved into. And I can tell you this much, that I am not nearly good enough to make it onto any team, but I am good enough to take on Dyrus in top lane. To give you an example of, that's my skill level, right? And I can tell you that I think Probably slightly below me is the threshold for League to balance their fucking champion shit on. That's where their balance needs to focus, because that's going to be the crux. That's going to be the people that are going to keep coming back to the game like me, right? Like, I'll take a year break, and then I'll hear about some new mechanic, and I'm like, oh, let's go try that, right? That's going to entice me, and the balance changes are going to be focused towards people that are like me and, you know, above me and stuff, yeah? So that's the idea, I think, about it. Now, I will also say that, and this is why this is also difficult, because the balance requirements for a game that's multiplayer is entirely based, however, on that game itself.
Yeah, that's what I was going to get into.
Agreed.
Yeah, because like an asymmetrical game like Dead by Daylight, right, has a completely different meta requirement than a game like League of Legends. Like, first of all, Dead by Daylight is not a full team game because one side is one person. So there's an entirely other fucking setup of shit because it's always a clutch match, if that makes any sense. So because of that, you have an entirely new focus on the whole point, and correct me if I'm wrong because I've played very little Dead by Daylight. The entire focus of the balance is how strong is the killer, right?
Yeah, for the most part.
Yeah, like how strong is the killer? Because the killer is always going to be stronger collectively than the other four people put together by the very basis of the game and its aesthetic.
Well, no. I mean, it's definitely a survivor-sided game at the highest level.
Well, I mean, like aesthetically is what I'm getting at. Like, the killer is killing innocent people that are trying to survive. You know, that's the feeling that the game
innocent,
gives.
dude. Those survivors are little shits, I tell you.
Well, anyway, the point is that I'm getting at is that the game is focused on how strong is the killer. That seems to be the crux of it. And if they're not strong enough, then as you said, at higher levels, the teamwork-based gameplay, which has a force multiplier, outpaces the single player, right?
Right.
So that's a completely different aspect than League of Legends, which is a objective-based, full-on fucking team-based game, which is even more different from an FPS teamwork game that's based off of TDM, right? That's a completely different meta matchup. So to me, whenever you're trying to find a correct answer, that answer will never be correct because I think ultimately balance is a shifting, like, ethereal form that doesn't solidify, that only solidifies momentarily. But I think statistically, if you're gonna gamble, it's on the people that put the time into the game because they're the ones that are going to be the most affected should you fuck up. So you don't want to fuck up for them.
Address this every time I make a video, like saying that, you know, because I usually say kind of the same thing about DBD. People always come up with the same counter argument, and they always say it should always be balanced around the top because people will eventually get to that point. But then for DBD, I argue to the point that that's not only is that just simply not true, but if people do not have an enjoyable experience, they won't want to put the time into the game to get to that point to begin with. So it doesn't ever end up actually happening.
That can be true.
All right, so here's why that's a bullshit argument. I'm going to take a giant dump on that. First of all, that they'll eventually get there is nonsense.
Yeah, I agree.
That's 100% nonsense. And I can tell you, math is the reason why that isn't the case. Because to make a supposition that an absolute of everyone will get there eventually means that mathematically, when there's
they're not the top 1% anymore.
They're not the top 1%
yeah, exactly.
because that can't exist. So mathematically, you're wrong because that's not how the world works. Unfortunately, that's not how reality functions. So sorry about that, kiddo. That's not how it goes down. And if you're a company and you're trying to balance the game, you could choose, for example. Now here's where I will support the top play, right? Oh, here's where we're gonna get a little dirty. If your game is a spectator sport and it has a large esports presence, the temptation to balance for the pro play, to make the pro play more exciting and dynamic and easier to watch, or more exciting to watch, definitely, I think they might take that gamble. And then that gamble, if gambled properly, could generate more players for the game and ultimately let them survive the loss inversion, yeah? So that's something they could do. But very few games, I think, have that level of presence where they can take that kind of gamble.
An interesting counterpoint is that I can't name them specifically, but I remember several games throughout history that tried to force that upon people, force the whole esports scene, and they ended up doing worse overall
Overwatch?
because they tried that. Yeah, that's a great example.
Yeah, Overwatch is a great example of that, and that would be an improper execution, 100%. Absolutely. I agree with that all the way. And I can tell you, as somebody who made it to Grandmaster in Overwatch, I would not consider myself to be a professional level player, but it's told to me by a professional player who you guys might know as Shore4, he told me that I was one of the best tanks he's ever seen while I was playing with him. So it's to give you the idea behind that is that there are going to be high level players that don't put that much time into it, sure, but more often than not, the people that have that high level stuff are going to put time into it. And there's no guarantee that their time versus gain is going to be equalized. Like, that was the most frustrating part about Overwatch, was that their matchmaking system to determine who was good was always so flawed. Because it did not calculate individual performance. It only counted direct result. So the only time that you would ever really get to a direct result that mattered was if your team makeup was what somebody did a calculation once somewhere. I can't remember who it was, but it was like they had to be 280% superior to the enemy team in order to gain a positive rank gain. That's how much better than the enemy team all of you had to be, like, together as a collective. Like, that's like an average tilt is what they were basically getting at. I'm not sure if I agree with it completely, because there are certainly clutch moments, but their whole point was that if you compare those clutch moments kind of averaged out, that's how much better you needed to be if you wanted to make a net gain for that day. And the longer you played, the less efficient it would become. Like, there was this whole, like, meta strategy that the big Overwatch players would do, where they would only play at certain times of the day because they had a lower chance of getting bad players. That's the level that they played. Yeah, that's the kind of shit that they did.
That's really stupid.
Yeah, that's what they were forced to do, because that's how impactful that system was that you had players like Tymo, you had players like DPS Stanky, you had people like Battle Brother DeHuns, all of them. Like, and I played with all of them. And that's what they kept doing. That's the meta they had. That's what they did in order to survive. So the entire point behind it is that is essentially how it worked for your rank gain. Now, there was hidden MMR, I believe, that would keep track of personal performance, and that could affect your stuff a little bit. But that's not what people saw. What people saw was, am I gold? Am I platinum? Am I master rank? Am I grandmaster? Am I top 500? You see what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what they cared about, because that was the thing that everybody saw publicly, and that was the thing that determined if they got on teams or not. You see what I mean? That's what it is.
Snake and Russ, what about you guys?
Sorry, I talked a lot there.
No, it's all good.
Well, I mean, the last like actual competitive game I got into was Duck Game. And I've actually, spoken with the single dev that did it, and his whole thing was he didn't want to take out a lot of the meta tricks that people had found out, even though they looked like they were, glitches and things like that, because he felt like the hardcore players, his fan base or whatever, his player base would have like evaporated if he had removed those things. Which, if you know a lot of the meta tricks in that game and you use them on people who are fresh to the game, they absolutely think you're cheating or hacking. They feel like it's unfair, and that you just can't. That what they're doing is just unfair, I guess I should say.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's no. I don't know if would it be a balance if, say, like the developers took the time to create something that taught you those meta things and taught you like combos and Dead by Daylight, good perk combos and stuff like that, or how to like navigate loops correctly and stuff like that. So I guess if you wanted to keep all your cool meta tricks and things that you learned from putting in thousands of hours into the game, maybe the devs themselves should like bring up ways for people to learn it instead of just reading like people's forum posts about new tech and stuff.
Wasn't
like
Smash a lot like that? I don't
Yeah,
know.
with wave dashing and stuff. Yeah.
Wave
Yeah.
dashing.
Melee was that way, but I think that's different than balancing a game around intended mechanics is different than leaving in like bugs and other tech that people found out that weren't intended. Like you can balance around both, but balancing around them are two different things, I think.
Dark Souls PvP flashbacks.
God, I don't even
Game was
know.
literally just exploiting backstabs.
Man, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if we want to count fucking Dark Souls multiplayer. That shit was half dashed in there. But anyway, continue. Snake, you were saying.
It's an interesting topic just because you have so many different types of games, so many different individual games, and then so many different examples of the meta within them. Like, are talking about Dark Souls, like, trying to look at how the meta shifted in that.
Oh yeah.
Like, you were among the top in that, were you not?
Dark Souls 3, yeah.
Yeah. How did the just something as simple as weapon choice shift from the beginning of the game towards the end when you stopped?
Well, they started nerfing all the OP shit that I would use, so I'm not actually sure because the Karthus Curve Sword was the super broken thing that all the meta players used. And
Is that the banana sword?
no, you're thinking of Dark Souls 2. That was the Monastery
Oh.
Scimitar. But yeah, like they devs actually nerfed the thing after like a year and a half. So that was my last memory is the thing getting nerfed. So I'm actually not sure. But I've heard from like somehow there are still tournaments for that game that they don't use like that anymore. So
That Dark Souls in particular is a neat example of just balancing, because they had a balance for both PvE and PvE, and they had separate stats for each.
oh yeah, that's right.
So things like statuses and like damage scaling and defense and all that was factored differently for the PvE enemies versus PvP players, and that rubbed a lot of people the wrong way.
Yeah, I remember doing tests on like the rings and stuff. They had different effects versus players than they did versus like regular mobs in the game, and they didn't like say that explicitly when they actually test it. That was weird.
I think having clear, concise rules, especially when it comes to PvP games, is like a necessity.
Yeah. So it seems like the overall consensus is it is very dependent on the game, right?
Oh,
Because
I
you just,
think
absolutely.
so.
you just can't answer the question without knowing what game we're talking about.
Man,
Yeah.
it really is difficult, dude, because I've been sitting here thinking about balance, right? And then I can't help but think about one of the hardest multiplayer games to be competitive in, and that's fighting games. Like, fighting games, I would say, are, man, you know what? I'm going to say it. Fighting games are the most difficult multiplayer game to become a competitive level player in.
Oh, I'm terrified of learning fighting
Like,
games.
like I honestly, I've been sitting here racking my brain about it, and I cannot think of another multiplayer game that requires more training, for God's sakes, to be good enough to be considered competitive in. Maybe RTS games, because they have APM and a lot of shifting tactical information, but like maybe RTS, but like, do people even play RTS? Like,
I watch StarCraft 2 sometimes.
do they still do that? Like, I don't know, but anyway.
Yeah, they do. It's just not popular anymore.
Okay, well,
I think fighting games are like great and not easy to balance or anything like that, but they're a great example of the easy to pick up but difficult to master kind of thing.
oh, absolutely, and I think that's my biggest example of what I was getting at to how it's relevant to this. Is I don't think at any point, and correct me if I'm wrong, FGC, that they have ever balanced a fight, maybe Smash, but any fighting game based off of the casual player. Like,
No, fighting
like
games are always
they're always the highest level, right? Always. Now, one might say that that's because fighting games are a spectacle game. You know, that's what their whole like esports like pull is, that man, you will never get more hype in an esports moment than a fighting game moment, dude. Holy shit, you will lose your... Oh my god.
I'm now thinking about the Daigo moment where
Yeah.
you perfect
Yeah,
parry
Evo
someone.
moment.
yeah.
Set,
Oh my
Evo
God.
moment 37. You know, that's the kind of shit that you get into, and you don't even have to be knowledgeable in fighting games to be a part of that too, because it's also accessible to the experience, I would say, because you just saw a combo go off and that guy's health dropped, and you're like, holy fuck, that was great. You know, you don't need any more explanations than that. And I think that would be the counter argument to anybody that would say that it should be the less skilled players, because it's like, man, if fighting games did that, they would die, because they would lose the fucking edge. And it's already, man, maybe fighting games are the best example of that, because a fighting game's balance has to be good, because if it's not, nearly instantly dies, I would say. Maybe some exceptions, like Tekken could maybe get away with a couple bad seasons, but that's only because it's one of the most iconic ones, you know? Like, it's god damn, dude.
King
Well,
of
that's
Iron
the-
Fist tournament.
That's what's to be expected. I think it's a community-based thing too. Like with a fighting game, that's just the default expectation of how the game is
Yeah,
going to be
exactly,
balanced.
exactly. It has to be, right? Yeah.
It's-
Go ahead,
it's
Snake.
the expectation, but it's not always the case. Like Street Fighter V has suffered such a massive hit to its player base because of poor balancing and poor management.
Did they bounce around like lesser skill players or?
They just had poor balancing.
Yeah, I think just generally poor balancing, which I'm not sure if that's entirely relevant to what they're balancing for, because that's
Is that more like a
I think-
character meta?
I think that's a mistake
Taking
of
precedent?
execution, not principle. I think.
Fair.
I think that's because they just fucked up in general on that. But I think, God, I don't know, man. Like, yeah, I don't think there's an answer to your question, Scott. Like, not one that's definable. I mean, it's because they all change based off the
Well,
game.
there's an answer. There's just not a uniform answer.
A
There's not
uniform
like
answer, yeah.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh shit.
Well, fuck, that was a hell of a topic. Damn, son. Now I just want to talk fighting games, dude. Ugh, but you know.
Have you played yet? You keep talking about wanting to do it.
Have I played yet?
Oh, good. Time
Yeah,
for my
like you keep
topic.
saying like, oh, I'm gonna play
What
fighting games
is
soon,
the
then you just
best fighting game?
Dude, I've been playing fight like little tiny fight nights here and there, and I'm thinking I'm gonna make it like an actual event weekly that I'm gonna do on stream. Like I played
you
with
should.
I've been playing Guilty Gear with Snake, and we played a little Tekken, and that was fucking sick.
Oh, nice. Good shit.
I wasn't around for the tech and I missed it.
Oh, bro, we're gonna play some Tekken, don't you worry. And we played I played plenty of Tekken with Dyrus. Like I don't know, I'm thinking about it. I want to do a fight night, like just real quick segue here before we get to my topic. I want to do a fight night segue, or not segue. Fuck. I want to do a fight night like event every week on my channel. Like have like a time slot dedicated to it, where I just play fighting games, man. I play them on stream. I play them with whoever wants to play, and I might even make like a special Discord for it. I was thinking about doing that because I don't want. Well, maybe I'll make it in my main Discord. I don't know. It's just I have a lot of channels there, and I don't want to overwhelm people. But I totally want to do that, and I want to make a place where people can like discuss fighting games and go over fighting games and fucking talk about shit.
You got the time to do it, man.
Well, this is something I want to do for me, right? This is not work related. This is purely, this is Arcadum's relaxation time, you know, and I react to that. I relax by fucking battle, dude. So yeah, that's definitely something that I want to do. I think I might make it a separate Discord though, because I don't want to overwhelm my main one. Yeah, I'll do something like that maybe. But anyway, yeah, I definitely invite Snake to that and fucking play some Tekken, my brother.
Let's do it.
Yeah, dude. Anyway, on to my
All right.
topic.
Hit us.
Okay, so I'm actually pretty excited to talk about my topic. All right, first let me explain what I mean, because it's going to be kind of a little out of box, but how important are and how important in the future will alternative metamedia be to video games or to games in general? And what I mean by that is that community-based interaction around that game in terms of alternative media. So, for example, Undertale has animations. Undertale has forums discussing secrets. Undertale has like all this other shit. My own game has a lot, like an entire art community, people talking about it, all that good stuff, right? How important do we think that is to a game for its longevity versus how important it will be in the future for games? Also, Nier Automata sucks ass.
Good job.
Let's talk about that.
Don't need to.
No, I think it'll be. I think it's pretty important now. Like they'll look at the Steam reviews for any game, and they'll tell you right away whether or not it's something that you should be, like, if you should be concerned about the purchase that you're thinking about making. So you start diving in, and people talk about their experiences with the game, and sometimes it'll be shitty takes. Sometimes it'll be valid complaints. But it's exactly what you're
So
talking
we're
about.
counting these comments as metamedia?
I would assume so, because it's no different than being on a forum. It is technically a forum.
True.
Why was Twin Peaks popular? Because it's so fucking weird and it has just so much mystery behind it, and people are trying to dissect it, and just there's so much to talk about. I think that it is pretty important when it comes to stuff like that in video games. I think it does give it a nice shot of like revitalizing it and keeping it alive. The reason why Five Nights at Freddy is still around and talked to it today is because everyone has created these crazy game theories about it, and it's just, I don't know. I think it works for some games, and some games it just wouldn't.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna
like.
lead
What
you
about
to.
Call of Duty and shit
That's
like that?
exactly what I was gonna say. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because no one's talking about the lore of like the map they just played on. Like it just doesn't matter. But those games are still wildly popular. So
What is the lore of Rust? Why are we out in the middle of the desert?
However,
1v1?
however, here's my counterpoint to that all of them have that, because I would count headshot compilations and shit like that
Yeah.
to be part of that metamedia.
Yeah,
Because
there's still media for
yeah,
it.
those games, although they don't have lore, they
I see what you're saying.
have demonstratable content. They have demonstration stuff.
okay, I
Speculation.
just needed, I guess, a better definition of the metamedia. So it does include videos about it too, as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
Any sort of discussion, any sort of conversation about the game.
Okay.
Well, in that case, it almost goes down to the whole streamer discussion we had, where a lot of games are determined by how many people are streaming it, and if that's technically another form of metamedia for it, then yeah, I mean, games are very reliant on that for the most part, unless they're massive AAA games. But in that case, probably a lot of people will be making things about that anyway. So yeah, I would say definitely.
Nice. Okay. Now here's my actual argument that I want to bring up, because I didn't think that was going to have a lot of backtrack. Name one game, type, genre, whatever, that you think doesn't need it, and then name a game that has been successful without it. And you can't use anything older than 15 years.
Yeah, I was gonna say that'd be pretty easy to do if we look back far enough. But
Yeah,
I
can't use
could say
any,
a game
nothing,
like,
nothing older than 15 years. I'd
A
say.
game like Journey does not require any other external forms of knowing about it. You can talk about it afterwards, but at that point you've already played the game, and it's just sort of like a one and done thing. That's the thing.
even with that, Journey was so widely and so well received that people going, "This is good, you should play it," still counts, I think.
I mean, I feel like we could apply that to every game in existence. Then every game that was decent, you
But
could
not
always
every
say,
game.
"Well, Johnny told me it was good, so it's metamedia." Like,
Let me skim this down a little bit so we can come up with a better definition. Don't make it based off reviews. When I say metamedia, I mean people are making animations about it. People are making, fucking fan fictions, fucking fan shit about it. People are making parodies of it. People, that kind of stuff. I don't mean like strictly game review, like business oriented stuff, but like extra shit that they didn't ask for.
Then I would say Journey.
Yeah,
I haven't really seen any other media about that game, but everyone agrees it's still an incredible experience. So,
I've never played that game, so I don't know.
oh, you got it. It's so good. It's super
on
short, but
Steam
man,
now,
it's
too.
good.
Grab it.
Yeah, it's great.
2-hour experience at best.
Yeah. But yeah, that would be my example of a game not requiring that and still doing very well.
Okay.
I will say, like, there is metamedia. Like, people have done like cosplay builds and stuff for I don't even know what you would call the figures in Journey, but
The
the
tragedies.
avatar.
Yeah.
Okay. My I guess one of the games I'd point out. Here's a game that I think would not be successful without the metamedia, and that's Nier Automata. Yeah, because that game sucks, and without it, nobody would give a fuck. Okay, no, but seriously, I think a game that is only popular to the level that it is because of the multimedia, metamedia, is oh god, people are gonna hate me for this. I want to talk to you guys about Undertale. All right. Was
All
the
right.
game actually that good? I would say that it was a decent game, definitely. But would I say that it was that good?
Well,
I think it was very
I
unique
didn't
for
get
what
to
it
shoot
did.
anything.
Like,
define that good.
well,
Yeah,
okay. So this is what I basically mean. Do we think that the success of Undertale. Now, granted, it's already a successful game. I'm not arguing that. Okay? So basically, understand it's already won the game. All right? We're just defining degree of success at this point. And my whole point of this is that do we think that Undertale's actual value is represented accurately by what it actually gives, or do we think that the meta medias created by those that did like it, which are smaller than the overall population, created fan-based things that increased its popularity, increased its value, so to speak, to the point that was beyond what the game actually provided?
I don't think that's a fair question because value is subjective, like 100%. So
Well, okay, that's fair, but then how about let's say popularity, because that isn't subjective. Whether or not a game is popular isn't subjective to me, and I think that Undertale, because it had a smaller fan base, because it's an indie game after all, liked it so much that they made like full-on animations. They remastered the music, made it in their own thing, that it reached other medias, and it's kind of like blown up. Hell, it made its way into Smash, right? Isn't Sans Undertale a skin?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, do you think that
Undertale.
do you think that without the meta media, that Undertale would have made it into a major game company's fucking main lineup? You know what I mean? I don't think that if the game was considered on its own merits, it would have. So
that's such a weird question. I don't know, like
For me, like with especially Undertale, the fandom and all the meta media that people had created actually made me cringe.
Hold on, I have to ban somebody.
Oh, okay, go for it.
And I want to explain why Nier Automata is 10 times the game D&D will ever be. Goodbye, friend.
all right. That's ban worthy. That's fair.
But all the things I saw that a lot of the fandom created from Undertale is absolutely, I cannot fucking stand it. But I still love Undertale by itself. If I had no experience with anything like little animations that just like I just don't understand and personally don't like, but I can still play Undertale by itself on its standalone and still enjoy it, I still think it's a good game.
Oh, I'm not disagreeing that it's a good game. I want to be clear on that. But do we think it would be the level of success that it was based solely on its merits as a game?
Well, it's almost a chicken or the egg thing. A lot of the time, the game is so memorable.
That's the argument I
because of
wanted to
that.
get to. Thank you for saying that, because that's actually what I'm wanting to talk about. Do we think that a game's popularity is the chicken and the egg scenario? Is the game actually good to that level, or is it because enough people liked it that they were able to promote it and offer their own talents to it to make that game good? And here's an example that I think kind of blows all this out of the water. Is Skyrim a good game on its own merits, or is it the modding community that made it as popular as it is?
When it came out, it was a good game, but today it's
Yes,
only good because
but
of modding.
is it good enough to have survived and be re-released as many times as it has?
Skyrim's is 9 years old and it's still being released.
Yeah. So do you think it would do that though without the the meta media, which is what mods are considered?
See, I guess actually, don't they allow mods even on console now?
Well, kind of. It's a
To
really
a degree, yeah.
It's like a toned down system.
Yeah,
of
it's
it.
really shitty.
Obviously not as superior as PC, that's for sure.
Okay, with that in mind,
My
do
own
you think-
farts smell great.
do you think that mods can even contribute to those re-releases? Like, can you really consider that a factor if you can't use PC mods on other platforms? Like, how is that a selling point at that point?
Well, the thing about it is it's not, and that's the whole crux of my argument, is that the game is popular regardless of that. Like, that popularity is produced, even though you can't even play it on its original system, because I think it only came out for Xbox, right? Before it didn't come out for PC as well when it
No.
released. Like, it was just
I thought it was
Xbox.
both.
Was it
Yeah, I thought
both?
it was
I
both.
don't know.
remember. God, it was like a decade ago.
I don't know. Somebody would fucking correct me in chat. But anyway, the whole point that I'm making is that that's what I'm talking about, is that you can't use mods on one of them, but its popularity is because of all the extra work that's been done. So I would say that in that case, and this is where we come down to the conversation, if the chicken is the game and the egg is the multimedia, which one comes first, right? Or the meta media, which one comes first? I would say in Skyrim's case, The only reason it's to the level of popularity that it is, and that it has survived the trials of relevancy, has nothing to do with the actual game being good. Because while we can all agree the game was good when it came out, it's not a good game now, comparatively speaking, based off its own merits. And that, I think, is important to point out. So then when you take a popular game like Undertale, which everyone loves, is that game good enough to remain as relevant as it is based off its own merits? And you have to kind of give a little slack for age, because, games will not always be relevant because of age. That's just a reality, but that's only going to contribute so much,
Yeah, it's a very weird discussion. I'm not sure how to approach it.
Yeah, I know, right? That's why I wanted to bring it up. I wanted us to noodle scratch.
Yeah, I think that person has it right. Undertale didn't need mods to be amazing, regardless of how you feel about Undertale as a game. People like it for a reason, and a lot of that may be traceable to all this metadata, but they also probably genuinely like the game.
Oh yeah, once again, not arguing that. Let me put this in a way that we can make it more succinct when we make a point, right? If you took out the internet and the ability to fucking talk about the game, do you think that those games would have survived and made the level of popularity that they have if you took out all the multimedia and you only could talk through reviews and comments?
Well, now we're getting into basically the argument. This argument more applies to how long a game lasts.
Yeah.
Not necessarily whether or not it's good or bad.
Well, I think that is relevant, though. How long a game lasts is indicative of how good it is. Because a bad game doesn't last, right?
For the most part, yes. That is the line of logic, sure.
So let's also do this here. I'll throw you a bone. Let's pretend that Undertale is not an indie game, right? Let's put Skyrim and Undertale on the same level, and we only determine their merits based off of the actual experience had, right? And in terms of their quality for each person. Now that we've taken that, we only have forum posts and comments, people talking about it, with no extra meta media, right, to support it. So that means no mods for Skyrim, but that means no sick-ass animations for Undertale and all that other shit that was made, right? Do we think that they would have maintained that level of popularity based off of only people talking about it, based off of the merits of the game?
No.
I don't think so. I think it would be unrealistic to think so. That's just...
So where's the line?
Yo, how come sports games are still popular?
Yeah, see, that's what I'm talking. That's why I wanted to talk about this, because
when no one's out there making sick shot, let's check out my FIFA field goals.
Now, granted, that's because of
the
money behind them, like the publishers or whatever. But yeah, that's
it's not even that. It's the fact that sports are something that exists in our world, so they get the promotion that.
Okay. That makes sense. I didn't think about it that way.
Yeah, because they're going to get unfair promotion because it's devoid. It's going to get promoted regardless of internet interaction. Its meta media is life. So yeah. So that's kind of that. But I think basically, let me get to the whole crux of the argument that I'm making. I think what the argument that I am making is, and this is the whole point I wanted to get to. Sorry, it took us a while to get to the weeds, but I wanted to make a well-rounded point. I think that a game's success is no longer dependent on how good it is. It's dependent now, at least in some respect, I don't know what the percentage is, to how much a fan likes it. And let me explain what I mean by that. If a fan likes a game enough, they'll make a mod for it. If a fan likes a game enough, they'll remaster it. If they like the game enough, they'll make an entire animated series based off of it. And then that game's success is directly impacted to a substantial level of that fan and other fans like them. So my whole thing is this. I think that in the future, game companies would and probably should, if they want to have successful games, focus on the meta media aspect of their game. So they might think, will this game get people to make animations about it? Will this game get people to want to make mods about it? Will this game inspire people to do more And will they make changes to the game to entice that? And I think that they will, and I think that they should if they want it to be successful.
Well, I don't. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just say I still feel like that could be an absolute gamble sometimes because people and not just game development or anything else, they'll bring out and try to force like a mascot onto like the population, and it can blow up in their face.
I'm sorry,
sometimes.
some guy's like World of Overwatch porn, just banging like, oh my god. That made me laugh. Anyway, continue.
Oh, that was all I was gonna say.
Yeah.
See, I don't disagree, but I don't think it's entirely. I don't think it's all encompassing. Like there are games out there that people hate that they will mod or make content for in response to their hatred for how it was handled because they like the series, the IP, and I think that's a large part of it as well. Intellectual property, I think, can make or break a bad game or
That's
even
fair.
a good game in
I think
with
that-
its success.
I think that's a fair point. Yeah, there's definitely exceptions. But is that
I can
enough
say-
to generalize the rule, though?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think so either. But, like, I'll give you another example, right? Like, I keep going back to, like, Skyrim. But Skyrim is just such a premium example of what I'm talking about. Like, Skyrim is... Man, could you even call it a game anymore? It's more of a platform to build your own game on now. It's kind of like Minecraft in that regard, where you make your own fun at this point. Hell, it's like a game engine now that you have to buy
At this
first.
point, yes, for sure.
Yeah, definitely. So, but I would
Do you think
also say
when,
that
like a voice actor did the line for the arrow in the knee part, he's like, man, this is gonna sell the game.
no, but now I think they're going to have more content like that.
No.
Russ, I know that's that might be cringy to you, but think about it.
Cringing.
Think about the
bro.
games that you see now that have that kind of dialogue. Listen to Anthem's dialogue, for God's sakes.
Ugh.
Yeah, people are like, oh, that's so cringe, and I would agree with you, but the reason they did that was because of that shit. Like, that's why. It's because games like that are able to be sustained by that, you know? So to me, man, I think that any game company that's like, okay, we want to make as much money as possible by making a video game. Skyrim resold itself, what, 9 times? Over 9 years or some
It's a
shit?
sentient
Once
AI.
a year.
Yeah, it
Everybody's waiting for the annual
yeah,
Skyrim
yeah,
release.
it resold itself, and so I don't think anybody could disagree that, man, what Skyrim did worked. So they're gonna try and do that. So I think that's something to keep in mind. But yeah, so that was my point. Is that do we think game companies are going to consider fan creation to be like a crux of their design? That was my actual point. It just took us a while to get there. Sorry about that, fellas.
I think
we
we're
already
relying
do.
on. What would you say, Snake?
I think I already do. Like I'm looking at it's been on my radar for a while because I've been playing it a bit. The Marvel's Avengers game.
Yeah.
The way they rely on community interaction and like show us your screenshots using the photo mode. Like photo modes are such a big thing now. And
Do you
they
get like
advertise-
10 currency points for doing it?
No, you just get
Oh.
cheeky shout outs and then them ignoring all the people talking about bugs.
Oh man. Oh god. But yeah, that's pretty much it for my topic. I guess
I want to add on.
Oh,
Do you
go
feel
ahead.
like that maybe even like was it Death Stranding is kind of like feeding into that meta because that whole game
Oh,
was
yes.
about like dropping things and then getting your lights.
They used
and
Norman
stuff, you know?
Reedus, for God's sake. Why do you think they used Norman? They could have used
They had no reason
anybody.
to.
They had no reason to use Norman Reedus.
It's
Yeah,
just
they did.
Kojima's like, I love this man. and
Okay,
he needs
okay,
to be in my
okay,
video
okay,
game."
okay. I know why they used him, but like,
Now, hold on. You keep saying they. It's Kojima.
oh, okay,
It's all
okay.
Kojima.
That's
He's
fair.
the biggest
And-
Westaboo we know.
And while I would never argue with the madness that is that man's mind, my whole point is that I think that the fact they used Norman Reedus was okay. I don't want to speak for Kojima because he's insane, and I've never played more than Metal Gear Solid 5, so I'm very unfamiliar with his work. But I get the feeling that one of the reasons that game was as hyped and popular as it was because Norman Reedus was in it.
Yeah, I
And-
would say that's part.
Yeah, and not because he's like a Japanese actor or something. He's not. He doesn't even look like he belongs in the game. Not really. He's kind of weird that way. But
like the tongue
Norman.
sticking out. And
yeah,
stuff
yeah,
like
yeah. It's kind of weird. Like, and he's also meta, like, because he knows the camera's there. Like
Yeah.
the thing where you can look at his crotch and shit. Like he knows the camera's there. Like that kind of meta aspect of the game is going to be more and more prominent, I think.
And not since Postal 2 have I played a game where I can weaponize my own pee-pee. Thanks, Kojimbo.
Man, fucking wild to me. Anyway, I think that's what my point was. That was less of a let's argue to see which is the right path, but more of like a, I don't know, like a kind of like a reality jarring realization that maybe a game's popularity and therefore success based off of that is not going to be based off what it actually is anymore. Like, it just won't be. It'll be based off of, I don't want to know if I want to say marketable, but inspirational it is, I guess. Like, can it inspire people to make music? You know, shit like that.
I just know it can backfire too, because if devs try to intentionally force that upon people, it can have the reverse effect.
Do you have an example?
Not on the spot. Go ahead.
The culling.
Oh god, that game breaks my heart, dude.
Yeah, they tried to basically make that into an esports battle royale thing and make it this widely accepted just like phenomenon, and it backfired spectacularly.
I think it was the worst game release of all time. Was The Culling 2, right?
I think so, yeah.
Wait, The Culling 2 is the worst game release of all time?
I think so, yeah, actually. I think there was one person online, so games literally couldn't even start, and then they just shut it down. It was the biggest failure in any game.
Okay, I gotta look that up real quick.
Oh, it's legendary, dude.
Okay.
it's incredible.
Culling
how bad it was.
2 game launch. Hold on, I gotta.
It sucks because The Culling 1 was actually pretty fun. It was unique.
Is that the game where you're on an island? You got to get like an idol or something? Maybe I'm thinking of something else.
It was like a melee-focused battle royale. That's why it was unique.
I see.
The Culling 2's launch was so bad it rolled the Culling back to day 1. It was canceled just 8 days after being put on.
Oh, I thought it lasted less than that, actually.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Oh, my God. That is substantial.
That is a game that did exactly what you're talking about.
Okay, you know what? Maybe that's the thing. Maybe they just hope that it happens because that's the risk of getting it wrong, fellas.
Well, see, I think a lot of the success stories that we have aren't like they didn't do it intentionally, but now I think we're going to see more and more of companies doing it intentionally.
Yeah,
and it's going to be grating to the consumer, but I think it will also eventually be expected.
Yeah,
if not accepted, which is depressing.
I don't know if I like that because it seems like all the best examples are times when it is natural, like Arcadum with you and Verum and stuff like that. You didn't expect to have thousands of people talking about your shit. You just did it and it happened because it was good.
That's true. I guess
that's how it should be.
I guess that's true. I don't know, man. I don't like talking about my own success because I'm gonna be honest with you fellas right here. It's just us and nobody else.
Little does he know.
I've never considered my own success to really be applicable or presentable in any way, except perhaps in the specific niche of being a dungeon master, which is a very specific niche, right? Because would you guys consider me a game designer? I mean, maybe, sure.
Yes.
Yeah,
absolutely.
But, absolutely consider you to be a game designer.
But does that mean that I get to talk about game design with video game makers? I don't know about that one, Chief.
Yes.
I just
100%.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
that's not even a question, dude. Of course you do.
Well, all right. Thank you for that. But my I guess. Well, what do you think, Snake? I know you'll give me that cool reality.
Yeah, I think that being able to have the conversation is one thing, but the processes are entirely different, and recognizing those differences, I think, is part of the conversation.
Okay, that's Snake's way of saying yes, but I'll slap you. Thank you, sir.
You got it.
You got it, but I just, that is a good point. Man, you're so succinct. Yeah, it's a part of the conversation are the differences. Yeah, but I don't like using my own success really as a crux point of credibility, I guess. And
think about it like this. Like, imagine at the end of your sessions when you were still growing, if you were like, "Hey guys, you want to discuss the game? Go over it," and you just started like plugging all your own shit about forcibly making people talk about your stuff. That would just be weird.
You know, it's funny that you mentioned that because that is what so many people told me to do,
I'm glad you didn't.
and I didn't. And man, see, this is okay. So this is why I seem a little contrarian because I'm really not. I really am not. I just seem that way because so many people told me to do that. That was the common outlook, right? That was the common belief. And I think that one of the reasons that I am successful is because I didn't do that, right? So if everybody's telling you that a game is good for this reason, it's always good to have a healthy amount of skepticism as to what everyone thinks and think more about what it is that you think. And in the end, I chose what my integrity told me to choose, I feel.
Yeah.
But anyway, enough about me. That was my topic, and that was fucking sick.
Good shit.
All right, Russ Money, what do you got for us?
Okay. What cultures a toxic community in gaming? And is it ever like because it seems like there's either you got that just playful ribbing that people may do with each other in like competitive games and stuff like that, and then there's just on the other spectrum of it, there's the just straight up cyberbullying and stuff like that.
I think can we expand?
Can you please
define?
repeat that? Somebody randomly called me and scared the shit out of me. Can you please repeat that? I'm sorry.
What cultures a toxic community in, say, gaming? I guess we could also expand this to like just in communities and like with interests or hobbies and whatnot in general.
Fandoms.
Fandoms?
Are you
Is that what you
are you saying what communities are the most toxic, or do you think that community types breed toxicity? Like, what's the crux
What
of
causes it is what I'm.
Yeah, what causes it?
What
Do you think
causes
it is the
toxicity?
competitive nature of like
Can we
gaming in
define
general?
what you believe is toxic? Because I feel like that term has gotten warped drastically over the years.
You guys keep going. I gotta go to the bathroom real quick. 2 seconds.
Well, I guess toxicity can be like it can be a lot of like a magnitude of things. It can be just like straight up elitism and stuff like that. People thinking like just calling someone a noob, you could see that as being toxic in a way.
So you would
Gatekeeping
consider
and
that
things like
toxic? If it's like, you know, some guy calls another guy a noob, you consider that toxic?
I mean, yeah, you're just straight up just kind of in a way gatekeeping the guy, thinking he shouldn't be able to play because he's new to the game.
Okay. What about like things like the classic things like, you know, teabagging and stuff like that? Is that toxic?
Oh, I mean, yeah. I mean, isn't it? Yeah, I mean, the whole
See,
purpose
I don't
of
know.
teabagging is putting your balls on someone's face in a video game.
See, I don't know. Like, I don't know if it's because I grew up. I mean, you grew up with it too, but like, I don't consider that shit toxic. I think it's just fucking hilarious. Like,
Same.
obviously,
I'm
yeah,
the
they're
same
trying to
way,
piss you
yeah.
off. Like, they're obviously trying to piss you off, but I don't know. It's just like, you know, when you play games with your friends, you just shit on each other. And it's not like, I don't know, necessarily like, it doesn't make you a bad person. I think I'm way more lenient on what I consider something to be toxic. Like, to me, like, you know, in DVD, if someone's like, you know, teabagging you and they're clicking their flashlight and stuff like that, I just whatever. He's just fucking pressing a button. He's just, you know, he's just pressing a button in a game. It's not toxic. But, you know, at the end of the match, if he tells you to kill yourself, that's toxic. I think that's like there's a huge difference.
Okay, I would like to back up. You said like shitting on your friends isn't like you do that when you play games. That's completely different than shitting on a stranger.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And
no,
so
that-
do you
that-
think
that's fair.
do you think that is one of like maybe the leading causes is that you feel like because you have your anonymity that you can shit on people and
Oh,
that's
yeah.
gonna ruin their
100%.
day and then they can like just continue that cycle. So do you think it's maybe that not just in gaming but like I said in like communities of hobbies in general should just be more open? I mean like that's the thing that always blows my mind is people with their elitism is when people are trying to get into a hobby that you're already into, you're essentially thinking they're not good enough to enjoy that same hobby as you. Shit.
All right. Let me ask you guys this. Yeah. Do we think toxicity is defined as the anger from interaction? And the reason
I don't know how
ask
to
it-
define it.
the
It's a
reason-
complicated question.
Well, the reason I define it as that is because if you play a single player game, you can still be toxic, right?
True.
To
yeah.
yourself, because you can get fucking mad, break your controllers, and like, you know, fucking lose your shit, yeah? Because there are plenty of people that do that. So I don't think that you have to be in a multiplayer game to be toxic. It's just that when you add other people, the natural toxicity increases pretty
Yeah,
yeah, I
exponentially.
don't know.
I think the focus here should be toxicity within a community as opposed
Okay,
to
Yeah,
okay,
yeah,
okay.
I agree.
Well, I was just trying to build the blocks of my statement, I guess, is that I don't think toxicity is specifically a multi-person requirement, because you can be toxic to yourself. But to the crux of the community being the case, I think that, and I'm going to use my own experience as a dungeon master to really kind of put this out there, because the D&D community has its own toxic places. It has its own toxic flavor, I should say. And the biggest and most toxic flavor, in my opinion, is gatekeeping.
Yep.
Whereas it isn't even about how you play the game. It's whether or not you can. It's whether or not you even get in the door. Because a game like D&D is not very accessible, because you have to have a lot of pieces in play before you can play. You have to have a dungeon master. You have to have enough players. You have to have the appropriate, fucking books, and you have to have the device, in my case, or a table in the traditional case. There's a lot of requirements in order to play the game at all. So it's already difficult to get into. And then you have the fact that because it's difficult to get into, unless people are playing it, that means that the meta and outlook is more narrow and not broadened. And because it's not broadened, then that means that your level of gatekeeping is going to increase substantially, right? And I can't tell you how many times I've seen it with my own eyes. People wouldn't let, like, for example, women play with them, for just based off of no.
See, that shit blows my
Yeah,
fucking
but
mind.
let me,
like, if you're like a straight normal, like, okay, if you're just a straight dude who likes women and you love D&D, what's wrong with having a woman that you could discuss D&D with? Isn't that the fucking
no,
dream?
I get it. No, I'm with you.
I don't understand it.
Believe me, I'm walking through this fucking corpse field. I'm not killing people in it, all right? I'm just walking. Because the point is that I've seen it happen. They wouldn't let the girl play. And the reason they didn't let the girl play, when I asked them, oh, I've never played with a girl. That's it. That's the only reason. It's because they had never played with a girl, so they didn't.
It might be too good, Arcadum.
Yeah, they didn't want to change. And so that's the kind of, like, gatekeeping that can happen that is completely, like, it's completely, it's not even based off of anything. It's based purely off of, like, fear of change, for example, like, not even something that you would think it is. And the point that I'm trying to get at is that's the level of toxicity that I have dealt with specifically. And because that's the level, I would say that because different communities have different flavors of toxicity, what causes it is determined by its size, it's determined by its accessibility, it's determined by its, I guess, relevance to pop culture, and then I would say the fourth one would be its complexity. Because the more, but anyway, go ahead.
I like to add a fifth one to that. Typically these things have, like, communities can spring up over any topic, granted, but typically they have some sort of, someone is typically at the helm in some way or another. And I think a lot of toxicity can be bred from inaction from the people at the head.
Oh, so bad leadership.
I can agree with that.
Yeah.
So fifth bad, I could get behind that, yeah. Because if I was a fucking shitty person, which I hope I'm not, people in my community would probably be more likely shitty people because I would attract them, I guess.
Yeah.
I think that's a fair point. And I gatekeeping is just the one I've dealt with the most. But let's talk about, like, video game stuff. Like for example, let's talk FGC. We're going back. Boom. I'm running at Snake. We've played plenty of times. Snake's a very good player, right? I lose against him a lot, right?
Same.
I don't get mad, though. Now, this has to do with the difference, I think, between my personal mental versus the common mental. Because I think the common mental outlook in a competitive game, which is where you're going to get the most toxic people, I think. I mean, I don't think I'm wrong in that. That's where you're going to get the most toxic people, and is in a competitive game. So that means a competitive PvP game, to be clear, is where you're going to get the most toxicity. And because of that, you're going to have to deal with that. So if you have a common mental, which is frustration, right? Where you can be, I don't want to say easily frustrated, but I would say frustrated, if I had to put it on a scale of 1 to 10, your ability to resist frustration, if you're a common mental, is probably 3 if you're playing a competitive game. and that's going to change based off of like balancing and difference. This is a difficult thing to tie down, but that's why I'm speaking specifically in fighting games. And in fighting games, it's really easy to get frustrated, and so that's why we put it at a 3 of the common mental of that. My mental's very high because the only people I've ever fought are people that I have lost the shit out of to. I never had a little brother to pick on. I never had, anytime I would play, since I had to play very little, I would play against people that had more time, which means they would be better than me. But that was actually a good thing because I liked the game despite losing. And since I got used to losing, it didn't spoil it for me. And so now I can fight against people like Run It Black or fucking Hoshi. I could Dyrus, lose against them, have a great time, and never get frustrated. You're right. So that's the kind of toxicity to that. And I think that the toxicity of a community is also determined by the common mental of its players. And I think that is something that I would, if I were to say that would determine that, that's what it would be.
I've been thinking about all the games I've played throughout my life and like which games tend to have the most most toxic communities, games I've been a part of. And the ones that always stand out to me are the ones where you rely on other teammates.
Yeah,
because in that
they
scenario,
help control
You think
your,
that's the
like,
worst one?
experience.
That's the worst toxicity? Yeah.
yeah, I mean, because that's just human nature. You always want to throw the blame on somebody else. And if there's, if you got 4 other teammates there, you're going to do it every time because it's just the easier path
I agree
to
with
go.
that. I agree with that because that's why in fighting games you have no one else to depend on but yourself.
Exactly.
True.
Yeah.
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 Well, then there'll be the people who always blame the characters and the matchup
Oh,
instead
yeah,
of
but
themselves as well.
They're just little bitches, so it's fine.
Yeah.
Oh, little tiny, little small penis. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah. Okay, let me flip this around on its head if you don't mind. What can you as a player do to help prevent toxicity? Realistically, mind you.
Well, probably not falling into it. And,
Yeah,
like,
well, obviously that would be
Yeah.
the ideal world. But let's say for an instance, because I get mad at games too. But what methods could you employ to keep yourself from getting toxic, right? Because there's one common denominator in every game that you're in, and that is that you're in it.
I remember towards the end of my time playing Dota, I played Dota for like a decade, and I'd say for 7 or 8 years of that, I was a lot younger, but I was a piece of shit because I was pretty good at that game, and I would, my teammates would commonly be worse than me, and I would let them know, which is, it's a dick move. But I realized towards the end, sometimes when I would make a mistake, the easiest way to immediately diffuse that toxicity, if someone says like, "Oh, you should have done this. What are you doing?" You can just go, "Fuck, you're right. I'm sorry." That's all you have to do. And I've noticed people tend to not carry on with just shitting on you if you just kind of just say, "You know what? You're right. My bad." And I think if people were more open to just admitting something that there was their fault, every game community would be so much better.
Accountability. Yeah.
Accountability is one thing, but it's also like, well, was it really my fault? And like there are some clear cases, and then there are other cases where there are a bunch of different.
Oh no,
factors.
I'm not saying you bend over and say it's your fault every single time.
Or
I'm
even
just saying,
believe you saying that. It's more of a
Yeah.
platitude.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
Did a few? Yeah, that's fair.
Because like say it wasn't actually your fault. What's the worst thing that happens if you say you're right? It was. What are they gonna like put you on a list of shitty players that messed up like the last hit on somebody? Like what? It's the only thing that's gonna happen is the dude who's pissed off is gonna be less pissed off. That's it.
Sorry, go ahead.
or just having little notes next to your name. Stole
Yeah.
my kill. Blacklist this man.
I remember, God, it had to be like a year ago at this point, maybe a little less. I hopped back into For Honor after not playing it for a very long
I
time.
love that game, dude.
It's such a fun game, and I have back,
it works.
yeah.
When it works, huge asterisk. Yeah.
But I hopped back in with my warden and when the quick match 1v1, and I hadn't played the game in months, literal month. Probably no, I think at that point it had been like a year since I had touched it, like to the day. And I was fighting this guy, and I had a pretty high rank warden, and he's like, "How did you even get here? You suck so much." And I'm like, "Well, consider that you're a jackass, and B, I haven't played in a year. What do you want from me? And he didn't respond, and I just played and got better, and like we played a few more matches, and he left, and he didn't say anything else. So like calling it out is also a thing you can do.
Oh yeah.
See, I wonder if like maybe games in the future will give feedback, not like specific feedback, not like you would join your For Honor game and it's like been rusty for 1 year, as if it would give you some excuse or anything like that. But maybe like I think that's where a lot of frustration in maybe competitive games comes from, is the player not getting feedback on what they had done wrong or what was wrong and for a specific match or anything like that.
Really, every single, I think, point of toxicity boils down to not winning and you want to win. If you think about it, like every scenario ends up boiling down to that. You didn't win and you wanted to win, and then someone gets mad about it.
Not the case. Like I just gave an example where that was like the guy was shitting on me for being bad because he was winning.
Yeah.
So
see,
why do we think that is? I mean, I feel like to do that, you just have to be a piece of shit
Humans are
person.
terrible.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
No
All right.
reason
I'm
for that.
gonna get a little bit more like philosophical here. Like first of all, a lot of it is just like when you win, you want like. I come from Gears of War, gentlemen, and let me tell you something. I have not been in a community more toxic than the Gears of War community in my entire life. It outpaces the FGC. It outpaces League of Legends. People are like, "Oh, this guy called me names in text." All right, let me tell you something. You're playing with this guy that you have to depend on to have your back on a flank, and he's just yelling at maximum volume. The relations he had with your mother, using hard R, doing all this shit, right? Just screaming at you the whole time because you said, "I'm grabbing sniper." That's it. That's the only thing you said.
How
you said,
fucking dare you?
That's it. And he makes it his life's mission. Now, you can block him, but he needs to be able to tell you that there's somebody coming behind you, because if he doesn't, he's going to lose too. Now, some people don't care, but others, while screaming, you go, "Guy behind you, you piece of shit." Like, they'll do that. That's the level that it is.
That's my screen name.
So Gears of War had this really weird setup where you couldn't mute people, because if you did, you would lose the game more often because of it. So you had to sit there and just listen to this shit. And I mean, just screaming like some of the worst shit I have ever heard. Racism, sexism, God help you. It was so bad. So anytime somebody talks to me like, "Oh, League is toxic," I'm like, you don't even know what that word means. Like, you play old school with Xbox mics and less accountability. Fucking Gears of War 1 and 2, dude, you haven't seen shit.
Any game in the early 2000s before like the developer takes any moderation to it.
Yeah, there was no moderation then. It was just like, jeez, dude. Modern Warfare 2 lobbies were pretty bad too. I don't think they were as bad as Gears though.
Yeah, I remember that. Oh my god.
Yeah.
It's
Any
literally
game
just,
with an emblem maker. Oof.
Ooh,
just
no.
95% just noise,
all
peaking,
dicks.
yelling. Just
People
my god.
playing music on the mics, like, just like,
And you ask them nicely, turn up like, "Shut the fuck up." Oh man.
just stupid shit, dude. Just, oh man. And that's just the way that it kind of is, you know? And I think, I don't know, man, like, I know this is going to seem like the Sunday school answer, but toxicity is determined by a person and several people. If everybody was a better person, then we wouldn't have as much toxicity. But unfortunately, that's not how the world works. So the best thing you can do, I think, is to have a thicker skin and have a better mental. That's it. Because
I'd like to expand on the thicker skin thing, because I think, to kind of play devil's advocate, I think overall people have gotten more sensitive to the online, being a dick thing too.
Oh yeah.
And I think that's kind of part of it. It's not their fault, but that is definitely a thing. Like, God, if in DBD, this is like, if you press control and crouch one time, the killer's like, teabag, into like you're
Dude, I
writing on
clicked
your
my
Steam
flashlight
profile, just like, you
twice.
piece of shit.
you
Just like,
right-clicking on that Steam profile.
dude, like they go fucking crazy. Like, dude, he's just
Minus
pressing a
rep.
button. God, the DBD community is so fucking sensitive about everything. Like, you guys have not seen real toxicity if you think just, flicking a flashlight or teabagging once is like, you're the devil. It's just
But that's the amazing thing is like, can DBD even be like a truly competitive esports game? It's
No.
It's cat versus mice. It's
Yeah,
literally like a custom game mode from StarCraft.
Damn, Russ.
I mean,
it
it kind of
is.
is, but it's just.
Russ is pulling out his
I
clown
love
hammer, bro.
DVD.
Oh my god, it's got so much blood on it.
But it's just amazing, like the people are treating it as if it was competitive as CS:GO and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's a whole nother
But he
topic,
pointed down.
dude, that's another good example. Dark Souls like honor PvP guys. Like, holy shit, like there will be people that will like write a mean comment on your profile if you invade them and don't bow. Like, what the fuck?
He pointed down,
dude. I'm here to kill you. I'm not dueling you. Like, oh god, the whole honor community, that was awful.
He pointed down.
Healing during a duel? How dare you?
How dare you possess any? And you know what was really funny and also kind of toxic? How For Honor the game, there's like no honor.
Not at all.
No, if you do like a 2v2, as soon as one guy goes down, you're getting gangbanged by two
Now,
dudes.
granted,
That is my favorite part.
Granted, the revenge system was bullshit enough that was actually suboptimal
True,
for
yeah.
you to go 2-on-1, but it was still pretty funny how little honor people actually had in a game called For Honor.
See, it makes me wonder though, is if there's no like text communication or even like, comm communication. If there was a video game design for multiplayer where you could just be the biggest piece of shit to one another, something where you can like invade people and disrupt their progress. I wonder how well a game would do like that.
I probably do very well, and then because you can't communicate at all, you know what they do? They just go on forums, and they just
true.
they just call out usernames. They'll screenshot shit like.
All right. Why do we think that people have gotten more sensitive over the years? Is it because they were not exposed to like the real shit back in the day?
It could be. Maybe
Just
the
younger
more of a,
people, or
more
think-
of a casual audience is joining.
I think that problem is seated in like politics and stuff like that. I think that's
so you think that's an overall like?
I think it's an overall thing. Yeah,
Okay.
Definitely, because I got into fights when I was a kid, and I got beat up for running my mouth, so I learned to run my mouth properly. You feel me?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Snake, what were we gonna say?
I think it's a combination of both age and like social, like politics and social media, all of that. I think age is a factor though, because they're just
Absolutely.
people who didn't grow up with some of the shit that.
Well, like
we
I
grew
think
up with.
like just being older too, life experiences, like like when someone like teabags me in a game, I'm like, all right, but I got bills to pay, man. I don't give a fuck. Like, there's just so many more important things than getting mad at that thing in the game. Like, I don't know.
Man, I got mortgage. Leave me alone.
It just doesn't like phase me
like,
anymore. So
it's like,
I do
bro,
think it is age related.
Bro, I've got bills. I'm not gonna argue with your 12-year-old ass. Yeah, exactly.
I do think there is something to be said about just tiny shit like that seeming like the entire world to someone who is like to the younger generations.
Yeah.
Because for them it may not be their entire world, but it's a large part, especially in that moment. So it's very easy to get carried away.
Yeah, it's also comes to the point. Like, I think something else that adds to that, although maybe to a small part, is that because it's this is gonna be kind of like lifetime meta, but because they're 12 years old and they haven't lived as long as you, the 10 minutes you spent fighting them is more of their lifespan than yours, total wise. So it's like, they have less responsibilities, they have less things, but they have less existence. And the reason I'm talking about it like that is I've been reading a lot of these studies on one of the big differences between mentals and ages and stuff, and that was one of the interesting outlooks, was that if you're 14, a year to you is 14% of your life, or whatever the number is.
1/14th, yeah.
Yeah, 1/14th of your life. Whereas if you're 31, like me, 1 year is only a 30th of my life, basically.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's kind of like that, and how that has a percentage of life thing can have an outlook on what's important to you in the moment and how much you are affected by things. So like, if you lose a video game when you're younger, it's more of a loss aversion than if you lose it when you're older, because you're older, time-wise at least. But
There's also
Yeah.
just like brain development.
that too,
That's a factor.
obvious. Well, yeah, I'm not saying that's the big end all. I was just
Yeah.
something I thought was interesting. So that's all. But yeah, I mean, hell, when is it that brains are fully developed for like males? It's like 25, right?
Yeah, mid-20s.
Yeah,
Like that, yeah.
mid-20s is when we fucking get our shit together. Like, mental,
If ever.
like, biologically
Well.
speaking. So, yeah. So, you know, you got a lot of 20-year-olds that are all popped up on the testosterone but have no fucking, nobody's driving the car. So, and I think that's
Yeah.
got a lot to do with it too. But,
Yeah, that's fair.
and I think communities that have an older average are going to be a little less toxic, but I also think that's dependent on that as well, because I'll tell you right now, D&D has had some toxicity in it, but not nearly as widespread, I think, as some of these other ones.
That's a good point. If you think about the overall age
Yeah.
of the community, it tends to be a lot less the older it is.
Yeah, exactly. I just hate gatekeeping. It's just so stupid to me.
Yeah.
But I'm biased to that, so I'm always going to argue against it. Good fucking topic, though, Russ.
Yeah, good
Closing
shit, man.
statement. I would like my 9-year-old nephew to stop telling kids to sit down, because he is in fact 9, and it just bugs me.
Sit down, kid! And you're like, you sit down, push him.
Bro, yeah, exactly.
You just push him down, dude.
Stop that.
Oh, shit.
Get some help.
Stop. Get some help. Yeah, awesome. That's that good shit, man. Hell yeah. All right, so topics are done. You guys want to do the Night Council questions that are
Oh,
sent
yeah,
up by
let's do
the
it.
by ye old Patreon?
Sure.
All right, let's see here.
Thought you were going to be like, well, too bad. Good night, guys.
Well, too bad. Just fucks off. All right, at this time, please check the Patreon and all of that if you would like to join up and get the role, and ask an admin for help if you should have it. But please, at this time, go to the Night Council AMA. Search that in Discord, in my Verum Discord, and you can type up a question if you have it. I'll give you guys some time to do that while we go over the first one. All right, so the first question we have is a series of them for each of us. I would like to ask these questions ahead of time. Arcadum, is there anything in Nier Automata that you actually liked? No.
It ended?
No, I'm just kidding. I liked the music. Music is good.
Music is great.
Yeah, music is very good. So, clap. This question is for Snake. Snake, if you haven't already, what are your thoughts on Minecraft being in Smash Brothers?
I'm fine with that. I don't like. I'll try them out. I have the pass. It's not something that I think is meant for me, and that's okay. I'm glad that Minecraft Steve and all the other skins are in Smash, because someone out there is real happy, and there's a lot of people that are.
Okay.
Not every character is meant for me.
Oh, man. Scott, is there any music composition programs that you would recommend to beginners?
FL Studio, I think, is probably the easiest one to learn. It's not necessarily the best, but it's what I learned on and I taught myself. So, yeah, definitely FL Studio.
And it's fun.
Yeah, it's good shit, dude. Good luck. It's a lot of fun.
Big claps. Russ, this question is for you. How many horns have you exhausted so far, like throughout your entire lifetime?
This one right here is number 5. I got 4. They're just in a box.
How long does a horn last?
It really depends how hard you honk it, because I've had like when I broke my first one, I disassembled it to find out what was wrong, and there's just this thin piece of metal that, like, I guess works as like the horn itself that the air's passing through, and if you do it too hard, it's gonna snap that little piece off. So be gentle.
Oh, so
with
it's
your
not like
horn.
a slow death; it just instantly dies one day.
Yeah, it was just because I was just, I didn't know how to control my hand strength.
He was honking. He was honking too hard.
Mom's knocking on the door. What are you doing in there? Honking my horn. Leave me alone.
Yeah, I'm honking.
Mom, I'm honking.
Russ is a fucking enigma to me, dude.
Enigma dude, he's just a clown.
I was honking my horn. Oh, bro. Oh, man, that's awesome. Okay. Let's see. And we've got one more question. Not a lot of people sent any, but they probably just didn't know about it. On IGN's review of the 3090, which they gave a worse review than the objectively weaker 3080. The main editor said this: games are art that cannot be measured objectively and broken down into fun units per dollar. Graphics cards are tools that can be precisely measured and analyzed based on their price relative to their competition. Yet very recently, a very good game, Genshin Impact, has a big consideration of its gacha system on the level of fun players are having. And any other games that are aggressive about microtransactions and packs like the NBA 2K games follow this same issue. Do you agree that, in reviewing of a game, you shouldn't consider the pricing model of a game?
No,
Yeah.
absolutely not. Because the pricing model is part of the enjoyment of it, I think. Like, if you have to engage with that pricing model in like as a barrier of entry, then now that should absolutely be considered.
Yeah, if you're doing a gacha game without actually spending money on it, you're gonna have a much worse experience.
I would agree with that 100%. Yeah. Like,
See, but well, at least I don't know. I always look at a game when I look at the amount of hours I've dumped into it, and I definitely say like, oh, that $20 was absolutely worth it. I got the bang for my buck.
well, I don't think that's the issue. The issue is that this guy is like saying that that doesn't matter in a game review, which I don't see how you could even have that argument, because like if you have like I'm gonna be honest, I haven't really played a lot of gacha games, so I don't know what the social outlook on that is. But to me, if you have to, in order to progress in the game at all, you have to pay money, then obviously the amount of money paid is going to affect the fun that you have.
So the game that's been mentioned, the Genshin Impact,
Yeah.
you actually spend real money to get these gacha packs to unlock them, or is it just in game?
I'm not sure actually.
So that's the part I'm curious
I think
about.
you can pay, and it gets you like fast. I'm sure it's both.
It's both.
You can earn in-game money most likely, but I assume that it takes longer to do that and stuff like that.
That's difficult.
What is that game, by the way? It looks like Breath of the Wild. That's all I'm
It's
saying.
Breath of the Wild with like gotcha waifus. And, I don't know. I'm probably
You can unpack characters.
playing
and
it after
items.
this?
I'm gonna. Oh no, I haven't finished downloading it yet because its download is awful. But I'm gonna download it and then I'm gonna play it on stream sometime and shit on it. So
Sounds good.
you know what? Maybe I'll like it. But you know what game I didn't like? Nier Automata. No, just kidding. Oh god, that meme.
When
Is...
reviewing a game, shouldn't consider the price model. What about like MMOs with subscription pay to play?
Okay, now we're getting into an actual argument. Okay, so I think that a game's model for pricing should be considered absolutely. And I have direct experience with that as a professional because I only charged back in the day $7 per session for 4 hours. Right? So if you compared me to a standard RPG game that lasts, let's say, 40 hours, right?
$70.
You would
right?
pay $70 for that. So I would be basically, I guess, a AAA game release. Sure, you can do that. Do you think that's a fair price that I charged?
I mean, for the product itself, yeah, I would say so.
Do you think that I should charge less or more?
See, I'm biased because
Well,
I've
yes,
already got
I know.
the
I
fair.
understand.
And I'm all like, oh, that's some good shit. And I'm already thinking,
Yeah,
man,
yeah,
if I
yeah.
give Arcadum $70, I can have a 40-hour session.
Yeah. I understand you guys are biased, but for a moment, try not to be, and just actually think about it. If I didn't have the reputation that I had, right, and I didn't have the meta media supporting me, oh, that's what I did there. Do you think that you would be okay with paying that much or more? So, for example, would you be okay with paying $15 a month? Because $15 a month is actually less than what players were paying me.
True.
Because if you actually calculate it, if we play 4 times in a month, right, which we mostly did because once a week, right?
$28. Yeah.
That's $28, which is substantially nearly double the $15 subscription fee of like World of Warcraft, right? So essentially, that was my business model. And that was when I was like making below minimum wage because of all the development time that it took, right?
Yeah.
And that was me doing it by myself, and the thing that I have complete mastery over. So I will tell you this, that a game's pricing on subscription base and stuff like that, I will tell you that the game's pricing model definitely 100%, no contest in my opinion, should be calculated in a game's review. Because how the game makes its money is also going to be what content is made available and to the rate at which it is made available. And that can't be ignored, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think when reviewing the game, I don't think it should be considered because the only reason I'm not playing Final Fantasy 14 is because I don't want to pay for the monthly subscription right now, but otherwise I would be. So I think the game is great on its own, just the fact that I don't want to pay money for it on a monthly basis.
Wait, so you're saying that it shouldn't matter or that it should be ignored? Like, which one are you saying?
In reviewing a game, I don't think it should matter. I think as long as it's laid out and everything's hunky-dory and clear, very clear, I don't think it should matter on the review itself. But playing the game, I guess, is what I'm considering when it comes to pricing.
Okay, when you say matter or shouldn't matter, are you referring to like scoring or mentioning it at all? Because there's like mentioning it at all is a very different thing than saying I'm going to knock off 3 points because it's $15 a month.
I mean, I can tell you that when Guild Wars, the first one came out, and I was still playing EverQuest, and the fact that it was marketed, and maybe even some of the reviews I read that it was an MMO without the subscription, that was the reason why I tried it out and played it. So maybe I think in a review it should be mentioned, but it shouldn't be left out.
Okay, so you think that it is important enough to be considered a part of the review, at the very least?
Yes. Yeah,
But
but I
maybe-
don't think it should make or break the review.
Okay, so it should not affect quality review, but merely be mentioned for information to the consumer in terms
Yeah.
of the review
Yeah,
that
that's
you were
fair.
doing. Okay.
See, it's all circumstantial, isn't it? Because in some instances, a game laden with microtransactions and like content that's gated behind a paywall that is basically having to put coins in a slot just to progress, I think is egregious and should be mentioned.
Absolutely.
Well, it would be mentioned, but it wouldn't. I think the argument is it wouldn't necessarily be reflected in the score of the game.
Well, I think it should in that case.
Yeah.
I mean,
No, I agree.
I think it should, but like just like Russ said, and it almost sounds like almost on principle, won't play Final Fantasy because it has a subscription model, even though the game looks good. Am I correct?
It's a great game. I love it.
Am I-
That's the only reason I'm not playing it at the current is that it has a subscription. I don't want to pay for it.
Okay, so that goes a principle thing. Okay, so he won't do it because of that. So therefore, one's individual taste as a reviewer needs to also be considered. I think. Do you allow your individual taste as a reviewer as to the pricing model affect the judgment of the game? Because after all, you are the critic in this case. Do you think that that's good or bad integrity to do that? Or do you think that it's important to explain why? And if you do so, how much of it should it affect? You know what I mean? Like, do you just trust the journalist at that point? Or do you stay purely to opinion? Because remember, this is a critic, right? Like, critics are, man, I don't want to say critics have like a bogus job because I don't think that. But it's really hard for me to see a person whose job it is to judge other people's work, and that's all they do, to be seen as a credible, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm verified on Yelp, bro. Come on.
Like I can appreciate looking to someone who, for whatever reason, through whatever circumstances, are considered
Authority.
an authority, not an expert, but an authority. I think those are two different things.
Yeah.
But I can appreciate someone being seen as an authority and their opinion holding some weight. But I also should think that people should realize that it's still an opinion, and there are many of them out there.
Yeah, exactly.
A critic saying a game is bad doesn't make it so.
Correct.
So I think looking at what the review says and why they say it is integral, and including that, definitely accounts for credibility for the journalist, whoever they may be. So if they don't include that, or rather if they say this, if they outline a feature and then cite it as good or bad without going into why, I think that's bad.
Yeah. Okay.
Agreed.
Here's a small little tidbit. All right, and I'm gonna get, once again, this might be a bit political, but we kind of brought up, game journalism. How do we feel about the current rate? Hold on, let me get my cat out of here. Get out of here, fatty. Okay.
Meow.
Sorry. When was the last time that you actually saw one of the big game journalists actually give a bad review, right? And if so, how honest do you think that they are with their reviews?
Fuck, man.
Because like the most common review out of 10 that I see is 8. You know?
That's true. I think that's an interesting topic. Most the average score of a game has gone up over the years.
Yeah. And why do we think that is? And I think this is relevant to the topic because it determines a game's quality, right? And if the game's quality in question is determined by a pricing model, then what even determines the game's rating at all, you know?
Yeah, I think it's arbitrary. It always has been.
Yeah, it's true. There's no universal grading system. It's just random numbers.
But why has it gone up though? Because it has, right?
See, I don't know. It's anecdotal evidence. I'm not sure if it has.
I don't know. It feels like maybe I'm just kind of basing this on just my own feels, but it just feels like that reviewers nowadays have to give a game a, not even the fair shake. They have to kind of like, hype it up a little bit because that's how they rely on getting more work.
There's this has been going on for forever, but it came to light in more recent years. Developers withholding review copies of games they know are not complete or just not polished, and then giving them to journalists like day one, so they don't have time to put out a review and hinder sales.
Yeah, that is a more commonly occurring thing. It's usually a very red flag if they do not give out any early copies to anybody.
Yeah. So I'm not accusing them of doing this because I honestly don't know. I don't read very many game reviews at all, especially not like game journalist sites. But say IGN did that. Rather, say you're IGN and you know that X developer will withhold review copies for a game if you give them bad reviews. So they might give you one day one to put out something later, or you may have to buy it or have the journalists buy it themselves.
Would you say the X developer would give it to you?
If they give you it day one or they don't give you it at all, and you have to buy it. Either way,
so X is going to give it to you.
Review.
Oh
Yes,
my!
X is gonna give it to you.
Oh my God! Oh, I'm sorry. Please continue, Snake. I'm sorry, Scott had to interrupt you.
No, it was fair. It was.
I had to. I'm sorry.
No, I get it. But say that happens and you're IGN and you know that's going to happen. So at that point you have to go to your employees and be like, hey, we need the clicks here because our money is based on people reading our shit and ad revenue and all that traffic. So in order for them to get the traffic they need, they kind of have to be more lenient.
Which makes you biased, though.
Yep. Yeah, it does. And I'm not saying it's a good practice at all, but that's the only way I can imagine it working.
That's a good point because I have noticed like for games that I really like, I like looking at reviews of the games that I already like just to see the other person say that they like it. I don't know why. I feel like that's a common thing.
That is group affirmation. That's like a psychological thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds about right.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's very common.
But yeah, it's like, oh man. This conversation is fascinating to me because this is like one of the biggest confirmation bias. Yeah, that's it. I think that's it. I don't know. I'm no psychologist, but I'm sure Chica's probably mad at me for even trying to. But so one of the things this is fascinating to me because this is the reason why I haven't reviewed games because people have asked me to. Right? People have asked me to review other D&D games like Critical Role and shit.
Oh, don't do that.
Yeah, don't do that. It's scary.
Well, I actually did episode 1, but I didn't review it. I didn't say it was good or not. I just gave my perspective as a dungeon master. Yeah, I commented as a dungeon master, pointing out the things that he was doing, and probably why he did them. You know, and I felt it was pretty constructive. But like, the thing to me is that if you're a good reviewer, it takes a lot of effort, and honestly, I think one of the biggest challenges when you're reviewing things is establishing credibility to the reasons you have. Because if you write just like a fucking paragraph, right? What are you going to be able to say with that? Not nearly enough in order to explain your point of why this game has a 7 out of 10. You know, but then again, it's also, are you going to make a big video about it? Well, that's not really conducive to a website reading, you know. I don't know. I think, and this is going to be kind of weird, I think the medium of like reading is like the written word, like article medium is not sufficient for game review. I don't think the medium actually works. I think you need a video. You need visual representation, gameplay examples. You need all that with a commentary over it, right? Like, think of some of the best reviewers that I've ever seen whose opinions matter to me because they seem more well thought out. People like Donkey, even though he's a comedian, actually does point out, you know, actual things wrong with the game. And, like, he explains it pretty well, even though he does it through the guise of comedy.
Right.
There's a MMO reviewer that I watch who, at the bottom of his videos, I cannot remember his name for the life of me, but at the bottom of his videos, he has cited sources to everything that he's saying as he's saying it. You know?
I think it really depends on what the consumer is looking for with the review. Like, different kinds of
The
reviews.
Lazy Peon, that's his name. Sorry, that was him. Yeah, that's him. Continue.
Like, I'm thinking about all the text reviews I've read and the points they would highlight, and I didn't necessarily, at no point did I ever think that I wish I could see this because of the language used, but at the same time, I can also see how I could get a better grip on what they are saying through video. Mm-hmm. But it really depends on what you're looking for. Like, some people read, like what you mentioned, the whole confirmation bias.
Yeah.
And some people read reviews to feel validated. Yeah, I knew someone who would not look at negative reviews for things they didn't, or things they liked, because they didn't want to contend with the art. Like, they specifically told me that they only sought out reviews of like that aligned with their pre-existing opinions on the subject.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so it's like, well, you have to decide as a journalist what you want your base to be, and as a reader you have to, or as a viewer, as a consumer, you have to decide what you're looking for.
I guess that's fair. I guess I have this presumption that people would like to actually research both sides of an argument, but I know that that's not actually the case.
No.
Because I do that a lot, because I guess as a dungeon master I have to understand both sides. And I know people in chat keep saying Total Biscuit, but I was not internet active when he was doing things. So I was not able to watch him live, so to speak, fresh or anything like that. So that's why I did mention him. Not because I have a problem with him or anything. To be clear. Anyway. So yeah, that's like one of those things, you know? It's I don't know, man. Like I feel like that if your whole career is based off of critiquing other people's works, your life's gonna suck. Like, I'm just gonna be complete. Like, I would be complete. I couldn't imagine that. Just doing shit like. And I thought Scott Junn's use of music in this area was a little bit brazen. I think that he could have used more sultry tones. And honestly, the brass here was overused. It's like, fuck you. What did you make? You know what I mean? Like, you know,
I made this review.
Or like, and I think that the writer Russell Money here could have used a better joke, because I think this one was pretty crass and improperly placed. Like, you're like, honk,
hey, I don't give a shit.
honk, honk, fucking, yeah, you choke him out with your fucking your never-ending kerchiefs out of your sleeve, you know. Fucking.
The garrote keeps going.
Or it's like, I think the absolute absence of ads in this entire game really deters from it, and Snake kills that man. You know, just, like that kind of shit, dude. Like, I just imagine that being a game reviewer is fucking hard, but any one of them that ignores the impact that the pricing model has on somebody's enjoyment or even playing of it at all, I think that's just foolish.
Yeah.
To ignore it,
I agree.
I think that's just a bad move. Yeah. Clap.
Clap.
Look at that. Clippity clippity clap clap clap. Oh, good stuff. Good stuff. Good stuff. Good topics
Good
all
shit.
around. Man,
Thanks for the question.
yeah, that was good stuff. That was a nice and fat. And that was the only question that we have. So I guess we'll start doing some outro stuff. Start talking about some things like that. So we won't be having Night Council next week because I'll be at my my sister's wedding, unless these three want to do something, which I'm fine with, by the way. If you want to support the Night Council and these fine folk here, Russ Money, Snake, and Scott Jund, please do me the honor of going to each of their channels and following them, supporting them, subbing to them, all that kind of stuff. Also, if you want to be able to ask us questions, please consider signing up as a Night Watchman on my Patreon, which all that stuff is split between us. I know there's fan art. I'm going to get to that. I just wanted to make sure that these three fine gentlemen are getting the support that they deserve because they are absolute treasures to have, and I am very thankful that they're here.
Glad to be here.
So, all right, that's enough of that. Fucking gross feels. I didn't come here to feel things. I came here to argue. So, all right, let's bring up that fan art.
If you want to play Ultima Online, hit me up. It's free to play. Come join us.
Oh my god. They made miniatures of us in our night. Like, I don't understand. Like this shit is so cool, but it's also like, what? How? Hold on. All right, let me bring it up so we can see it together.
Hero Forge is addicting.
All right, so first
Especially when you
up we
have so
have
many
is
subjects.
Scott Jund as the Night Council member.
Holy shit.
Dude, he is
That's awesome.
getting it, dude. He is.
Oh, I thought that was a heart. It's a dragon.
Yeah, it's a dragon. He's playing his music.
Is that a violin making fire?
Yeah, it's his devil went down to Georgia and that shit,
Oh,
bro.
your music is lit, dude.
That's so sick.
Your music is lit, dude.
That's so fucking cool.
Next we have is Russ, who is a furry for some reason. Why? I don't know.
I don't know either.
I don't know why that is. Maybe that's the
I don't
closest
know
thing
either.
he could get to a clown. I don't.
I guess.
I don't know.
I mean, thanks for the duck. I love that part. And the banana. Ooh.
Ooh,
The shoes looking great.
those are some clown shoes right there.
You know, I appreciate the effort. I just don't understand. But thank you.
Why is Snake 60 in this picture? I don't know. He looks very old.
But that's about how I feel.
That's about how I feel. I just, And then, somebody made me. Look at that. Wow.
Nice. I like
That's
that
like a final
chalice.
form. Holy shit.
Why aren't you wearing shoes, sir?
I don't know. I like to feel the earth. Did somebody say hearts? Oh my god, look at it. Look at he's adorable.
Ooh, woo. Boop my snoot.
He's oohing, he's wooing, he's feeling great. Oh shit, new brush. Who this? Heck yeah, dude. Look at him.
Ooh.
Snake is so clean, dude. Look how clean he looks.
Damn.
Inaccurate.
Inaccurate.
You don't know because you don't see yourself, Snake. That's accurate.
You
I
don't
haven't had a haircut in months.
Same. I haven't had a haircut almost a year, dude.
Man. I'm
Your
always
Cheshire smile gets me every time.
heck yeah, dude. Did somebody say Minecraft? Okay.
There we are.
You have cat ears.
We'll talk about it.
Merch ideas. Dead Aussie plushie. He talks. I robbed Blackbriar. Smack his
buy
adventures
that.
coloring. But Stompy is stress ball and slippers. Original
Shit, that's a good idea.
costumes. Donut Lord and Sheeper. Violet bath water. Oh my god.
Do not consume.
Good God.
Oh,
Those are all winners.
and Near Automata is very shit. Okay, why? Da 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 da. Yeah, I get the fucking Discord call. Like, ah! I'm gonna just say this once. Fuck Neuronimon. That's a very good template, dude.
They're missing the middle panel where it says once a session.
Bro. Oh shit.
Oh, that's
God
cool.
damn,
Holy
look at those
fuck,
arms.
what happened to you?
Dude, why am I swole? I don't know. I'm so swole.
The question you
Don't-
ask
I
when you
mean,
wake
don't
up in the
fight it.
morning.
I wake up, God, why am I so
Why am I
jacked?
so... Oh my god.
Oh,
Look
God.
at these guns.
I'm
is
so
ridiculous.
powerful, dude. What the
Let me
fuck?
kiss these babies. Mwah.
Oh,
I earned this.
why am I so swole, dude? That's awesome. Thank you.
You thought the mirror above my bed was for something else, but it was really for
It's so I could see the most beautiful thing on the planet. She goes, aw, and I said, me.
You just start flexing at the mirror.
Ooh! Dude, goodness, I'm strong. Yeah. All right. Well, that's it for the fan art. Thank you guys so much for the fan art.
Thank you very much, artists.
Alrighty then. That's pretty much it for the Night Council. Thank you guys so much for giving me the big hangouts.
Of course, dude.
It was good
Grabbed
shit.
it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's...
Oh, I thought you were gonna say something. I was like, oh.
No, that's it. That's it. I just
All right,
like
all
you
right,
guys.
fuck off then.
You
All
guys.
right,
You
yeah.
guys.
Y'all fuck off now. All right.
Alrighty.
All
Well,
right.
let's go ahead and end that here. Thanks, guys, for watching. We'll see you next time. Give me a second, guys, while I set up chat and go raid somebody. Be right back.
Good night, Chad.